Hi everyone, what is up? We're gonna be watching some Backrooms lore again because we've done it recently. Well, not recently, but a long time ago. But since the Backrooms movie has came out and there's kind of new lore, I want to update myself and hopefully watch the movie soon. Let me know if you watched it and how do you think it was. And make sure to watch my Twitch. I do reactions live and play games as well. Okay, let's get into it.
The Backrooms is a series I think every online horror fan has heard of. Starting out as a picture on a random web thread on 4chan of an old mid-renovation furniture store to one of the biggest series and IPs on the internet.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how big it has gotten in this whole, how long? 2 years, 3, I don't know how long it's been, but even I've heard it and I didn't even know the lore until like this year, which is insane to me.
All of that has been spearheaded by Kane Pixels, the creator of the YouTube series The Backrooms. This entire idea of a place beyond our reality, beyond what we think is real and possible, has pulled in millions, and I am just the same. Because the series, I believe, is something everyone should watch, especially if you're a fan of mysterious, otherworldly horrors beyond our comprehension. Because this series is so well done, the animation, the visual aspects, they're just too...
It's crazy that a lot of the time, like, it is animation that people use for this too, which is, like, you don't think of it in your head. It's like, oh, that's animation. Yeah, isn't that cool?
Good for YouTube. There's a reason that A24 hasn't making a movie on this stuff. So come along for the ride as I try to make some kind of sense of this amazingly shot, animated voice, and horrifying series called The Backrooms.
Let's go.
Found footage was released on January 7, 2022, and we open up to a group of kids making some kind of film project, shooting scenes before the cameraman.
One more. You got? Yeah.
This one was so creepy. This first one, oh my goodness. I felt so bad for the kid at the end too.
You may not know that the origins of this place actually come from an old 4chan user posting this image in 2011 to the website, and the most famous comment under this post reading, "If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms." This is where it originally got its name, and no-clipping is a video game term of phasing through walls into other inaccessible areas, just like we see our cameraman do accidentally. And this to me actually makes the backrooms such a horrifying thing to think about. Imagine one day you're living your normal life and one wrong step, 1 second of bad luck, one fall of the atom, and you're gone, disappearing from reality into somewhere foreign, which is the situation we find our cameraman in.
Like, isn't that, it is a scary concept, because like, what if like games and reality kind of mix, given some of it has, you know, like, we also have the movie Ready Player One. I love that movie. I don't know if anyone else likes that movie. I do. But imagine it's just more real, like gaming more into reality, like the no clips and stuff like that. I would be kind of terrified, no?
Backrooms, like shown here, is described to be a maze of rooms stretching seemingly forever. Originally, it's supposed to have hundreds of levels, and we see glimpses of this as Kane shows many different areas throughout the series, but we'll get to that as it comes up. This yellow maze is referred to as the complex on the Backrooms wiki, and a lot of the story happens here, so get used to seeing that shade of yellow. The cameraman is justifiably frightened, and peeking around seems to be alone, but feels something stalking him. Turning around, and just for a split second, catching the glimpse of someone or something peering around the corner. After some time, he stumbles upon this crack in the wall that truly shows how unfathomably big this place really is, showing a huge long hallway that seems to stretch endlessly. Reality here seems to follow no rules, coming across a ladder that leads into a hole in the wall, leaving me with a strong question, are there other people here? Adding to the horror.
Would I make it in Backrooms? Probably not. Would you guys? I think if I saw that, I'll just be sitting and be like, okay, when is my time gonna come? Who's gonna kill me? It's over. Imagine they have like a, you know how they have parks or like horror parks during Halloween and stuff like that? I wonder if they will ever do something like this. Like at that big kind of, like really big. They would probably have to have a rescue party to get out like the people who pay to go into the maze. I would still do it, to be honest. That'd be kind of fun.
Of this seemingly desolate place. As he walks around, he comes across more signs of life as he sees arrows drawn on the wall pointing him towards...
Okay,
that's just creepy.
Yeah, you don't say. He seems to stumble upon drawings of eyes and a face with a window above it, almost like a child had drawn it, especially with the kid handprints all over, but it's also very odd since that drawing seems to be so high up. I presume it would be near 7 feet tall. Scribbles on the wall read out, "Don't move, stay still," before
I don't like that. What the?
we hear an almost robotic shriek, like if a screaming person has their voice put through a radio or robot filter cranked on high. A chase ensues, and we get glimpses of the creature that I can only presume was the one stalking the cameraman beforehand. It seems to be the shape of a towering human, but with a skinny body and huge head, looking more like a kid's stick figure drawing than anything.
Yeah,
He's
that's
subsequently chased
terrifying.
around the complex, looking back to only see the creature's right on his tail, while it screeches out, sending chills down my spine. He then enters the room of mirroring doorways, again seeing the monster
I
behind
hate
him, but
that.
if we stop and look at it, we can see it actually isn't any sort of creature or animal, but looks more like the
T-pose! T-pose! It's just T-posing. Why run with something T-posing against you, you know? Listen, well, actually, if any character in a video game just T-posed and ran at you, yeah, I would understand why you would run. That is actually terrifying.
Venom symbiote without a host, seeing clear holes through its arms and legs with almost a triangular blank face. He quickly approaches a dead end with the only option is to jump down a dark hole, but honestly, he's left with no choice. Surviving the fall, he's able to get away for now, but jumping down has placed him in what looks like the basement of a house.
I'd still
Climbing
run.
up the stairs, he sees that the place actually has working switches where he could turn the lights on and off, but also that he is not in some house. He has actually entered a huge apartment or hotel complex surrounding an empty courtyard. The loneliness
so
of this place
crazy.
gives me the creeps. It really takes me back to the times of when I was a kid walking around the hotel my family was staying at on our trips. Seeing no one in a place you know should be full of people is terrifying, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at Will Smith in I Am Legend. That
I mean, like, it's terrifying, especially going through, like, an abandoned place, too. I don't know, like, abandoned malls are, like, I think more terrifying than anything because it's supposed to be lively and, you know, a lot of people there, but when it's just no one's there and everything's just, you know, gone, it just feels even creepier. Oh gosh. Yeah. Abandoned malls, abandoned theme parks, they're terrifying. And you kind of like feel like you're the only person last on Earth there.
man went crazy real quick. To add to the randomness of this place, there's even some rope and a real life waste management garbage collector in a room, looking like a piece of fine art. But at this point in the video, I began to really think, what is this place? It seems to have glimpses of the real world inside of it, but nothing of actual people, or even an upkeeper taking care of the place, even though it seems nice and clean. As the cameraman continues on, he comes to this long, straight tunnel, and as he approaches, we can see that there's hundreds of these places spanning what seems like forever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not sure how the cameraman gets past this, but he ends up going through what he believes is an exit door, but ends up back in the complex. And from this, we can kind of infer that this area is the main hub of the entire structure. I don't know if we can categorize it as levels just yet, but when you think about it, he jumped down a hole leading him to level 2, and coming back up seemingly placed him back to the start. But trying to make logical sense of this place is impossible with infinite looping corridors and structures so big they disappear from your eye view. This all can't be possible. Now moving around more slowly due to the fact that he knows what lurks around the corners, we begin to hear what sounds like radio waves in the background before
Yeah,
a
yo,
chair
I'm
is flung in
good, you
front of him,
know?
startling him.
I'm good. I am good with like whatever. If that thing chased me, I would have probably like stood still. I mean, maybe I would have died, but who knows? Maybe you should stay still and you'll survive, right? One can only hope.
Away, and he is forced to hide in a small crevice in the wall, and we finally get the full body image of the creature once again. Seeing the proportions of this creature is a little off from the first time we saw it, and it makes me kind of think, could there be more than one of these things in this place? I mean, it's not unlikely to think that, but it seems to be made out of the same kind of goo held together at the joints, despite being paper thin.
I thought it was, like,
As he tries to
more
escape around the
metal.
corners yet again, the cameraman is faced with a decision: a deep hole or surely face death. But luckily, he doesn't have to make that choice.
Yeah, that's terrifying. And that's also terrifying.
Going frame by frame, we can see the creature grabs the cameraman, well, now just man, and wraps around him like a jacket. And the camera seems to no-clip back
that
out
makes
of the
sense.
backrooms and thousands of feet above the ground. This ends the first video, but this isn't all of what this upload has to offer, because if you look in the description, we can see a date saying September 23rd, 1996, along with a link.
That makes so much sense. I thought the cameraman just kind of died on the ground, I'm not gonna lie. But now I could see, like, frame by frame, he actually just dies by the monster.
to another video. Before we venture into that link, let's first look back at the
Poor
beginning of the
dude.
video when the boys were filming their project. You can see a date for July 4th, 1991 on the clapboard. And hey, wait a minute, is the cameraman named Kane Pixels? Did Kane just kill himself in his own video? Anyway, the 1996 date seems to be the day the video was uploaded, 5 years later than when originally recorded. We saw the camera was still rolling and presumably intact by the end of the video. So does this mean that someone found the footage and waited 5 years to post it? Or could it be that time moves much differently in the backrooms, moving 5 years while he was in there, or possibly pulling the cameraman into the backrooms in 1991 and spitting out the camera in 96? Meaning that there's some kind of time travel element at play. But let's not take too much time dwelling and look at the linked video titled Mar 11th 90 archive.tar, which I presume stands for March 11th, 1990. The video itself is unlisted and came out a day after the original found footage short film. And looking in the description again, we can see that the footage was compiled on June 1991, a month before the cameraman.
I still haven't seen the Backrooms movie. I really want to. I'm kind of scared. I've been seeing like a lot of mixed reviews, but I'm also excited to see it. I really love the lore so far.
And slipped into the complex. The video itself shows a compilation of pictures, the first one looking like early construction of the complex, almost as if this place was being built, but that would be utterly impossible with just how big it is. We're also shown an image of what I thought was some kind of computer hardware, but could possibly be a layout of the backrooms. Seeing this huge empty space on the right reminds me of the break between the walls that seem to have gone on forever, so maybe there is a way to navigate this place. Later in the video, we are shown what seems like workers of some kind of system with their faces redacted, and now a more fully formed complex room and what looks like workers observing the complex. But
so what I remember is these guys found the backrooms, right? I think, and now they're like trying to learn like what the heck this is.
Why? We are then shown a picture reading Null Zone 4 with very blurred text at the bottom right. Luckily, the comments were able to decipher what it apparently spelled out, reading, "Due to the elevation discrepancy between panel 225 and 224, a null KX field is created." After trying to research, I have no idea what KX field refers to, but elevation discrepancy apparently relates to the measurements of where something lies in elevation. So for example, if I'm flying a drone at say 10 meters in the air, but my reading shows something different, that is an elevation discrepancy. And this makes sense to why this is meant.
I feel like, I don't know, making your own story, especially like a horror story with, you have to learn a lot about what different things mean and say so people can look it up and understand too. Because if you make stuff yourself way too much, like with the wording and all that, then people are not going to understand what's going on. So I like how it, like, this still puts real life kind of things in there, even though obviously it does not exist unless
here, because like we see in the beginning of the video, the cameraman falls into the complex on flat ground, but the camera is flung out thousands of feet in the air. Also referring to only Null Zone 4 having this discrepancy could mean that certain parts of the complex are different doorways leading in and out at different points in our own reality. Basically meaning we're dealing with a huge otherworldly human-like complex that is either created by humans or at least studied by them, containing huge killer goo creatures and has a different sense of time than our own world, which can be entered at and exited at different points in our reality. Oh yeah, I live.
Why would you make a monster? Just, guys, haven't we learned from any horror movies? Haven't we?
For stuff like this. The next picture shows some kind of chamber with pipes all around it, looking like something NASA would build. I'm unsure the importance of this right now, but if I had to guess, it looks like some kind of doorway. Whew, dang, and that's all on video 1. Strap in, folks, we got a long ride ahead of us. The next video in the series—
Ooh, is he gonna go like through like most of them and explain? That would make sense on why it's like so long. Is the Backrooms movie just like an add-on to this? I wonder if it is. I don't know what the story is for the Backrooms movie, but hopefully there's gonna be more and it goes into like connects with the lore. I love lore, so it's always nice to like read and listen to everyone's theories.
The third test was created July 2nd, 1988. The earliest date yet, and opens with a robotic voice reading the information about a company called Async Research Facility. which is in the middle of testing a low proximity magnetic distortion system, which I have no clue what that means, but
Yep.
I believe it has something to do with all the machinery and doorway we saw earlier. As blueprints and still images of machines and workers pass on screen, we are told about the background of this entire experiment, and particularly how the third test, which is the title of the video we're watching now, was not released. On top of that, we also learned that this entire thing is a US government funded program, because of course the government has something to do with this. With an odd blue screen of
When does the government not have anything to do with this? FBI agent, and if you're listening into this or watching this, which, you know, thank you. Thank you, FBI. But, please, tell us if there's aliens.
text popping up, I can't fully understand what it's trying to say, but I can read the words are facilities to reinstate their progress. Not sure if there's more to that, but we also learn of the vice president of Async named Ivan Beck. Totally won't be an important figure going forward, who has described the purpose of this machine as focused on helping residential needs and saving money on property construction and management. With that in mind, could the connection be made?
I mean, actually, think about it. If you were to be able to clip into the Backrooms, and a lot of people, and make it livable, and, like, have, like, an actual, like, door, and, like, oh, this is where I clip back to the grocery store kind of thing. You know, that would solve a lot of, living situations, I'm not gonna lie.
That this was a program meant to house the growing population of the United States? Meaning, are the Backrooms just a pocket dimension that scientists tried to create to save money on building costs in space? Or could it be a different reality altogether that the US is trying to colonize? My personal theory as of right now is that the Backrooms was just a room being built to then be multiplied infinitely through different doorways like we see throughout the video. But something more has to be at play here, because that doesn't answer what those creatures inside.
Yeah, what the fuck?
The video ends showing the undisclosed test footage on June 2nd, 1998, showing the machine turning on and opening a portal to what I can only presume is the same yellow complex, just for a split second. So June 2nd, 1998 was the day that Async opened up the portal to the
But why yellow, man? I feel like looking at yellow walls is just gonna drive you insane. As well as, like, what is this, Stranger Things?
Backrooms.
Could be.
But
Could
that
be
doesn't
like
explain why this third test in particular wasn't released. Is this not what they wanted? Jumping forward more than a full year later, episode 3, First Contact, takes place October 17th, 1989, opening up to an FBI warning, backing up the claim that yes indeed, the US government has a hand to play in this, along with the Async logo. Get used to hearing about them a lot too. Text on screen shows that this is test 6, showing more equipment at work, presumably all needed to run whatever doorway they've created, along with modification lists seemingly showing.
What if you die? What was their plan if they were to make it more, like, affordable housing and stuff like that? What was their plan? So, like, what if, like, the power shuts off in the Backrooms? Does everyone die?
Different ways that Async is changing the doorway, having detectors, monitors checking vibrations, and introducing before a screen for just a split second pops up, given a code that when reversed reads DNCH/DY equals 8,000, followed by 3 failures. Looking through many comments, people have different sources of what DMCH/DY equals 8,000 refers to, but all of them seem to coincide that it has something to do with particle collisions. Reading this Cornell University article on it, it seems to be the maximum amount of particles that can be created from these collisions. It's actually really cool to see that Kane is incorporating some real-world science into this series.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I said before. I love how, like, a lot of people put real world stuff, and, like, yeah, maybe it may not make sense because, oh, who would build that, or how would they build that, da da da. But, like, it's always nice to see real life stuff being put into, like, a horror film. Like what if this were to happen, kind of thing. That's awesome. And maybe he knows something we don't know.
It just gives an extra layer of reality. Since these particles release a huge amount of energy, this might be the way that they are opening the gateways into the Backrooms. Even being shown what looks like the blueprints to part of the magnetic distortion system, that, if you remember, being what they refer to as the doorway. I'm not going to refer to it as the magnetic distortion system all the time for simplicity's sake, but
heck no.
I feel like we're on the right track. We also get a full view of the doorway undergoing testing, showing the raw power this machine creates, making the entire room shake, before showing what seems to be a map of some sorts expanding while scientists argue in the back, finally making first contact. This episode seems to stand.
This would be kind of like the doorman from Deadlock, wouldn't it? I don't know why, but, like, it's just the doorway, the doorman. Sorry, I know, probably a niche kind of thing to talk about here, but I'm also addicted to Deadlock, okay? So just seeing all these doorways, I'm just like, man, doorman is an asshole. What if he made all these, huh? He's like a cosmic being over here. He could do crazy stuff like this.
As the catalyst for all that is to
I'm
come.
just
The
afraid.
first and still only time needed to open the portal, since the machine is now destroyed, I doubt they have any way of really closing it up. But from previous videos, we know that this isn't the only gateway to the back rooms. It seems by that opening one doorway, async and by extension the US government has destabilized our own reality, allowing for small pockets to open up, presumably all over the nation and possibly even the world. And the consequences of this we can actually see in a linked video in the description, titled faultline.mov, another unlisted video that Kane released alongside First Contact. The video itself opens up to a news anchor talking about an earthquake that struck the west coast of California, right in the middle of Game 3 of the 1989 World Series. And would you happen to believe that that date is October 17th, the same day Async opened the portal to the Backrooms?
Coincidence? I think not. I think not. Wait, is that like an actual earthquake or like... Wait, let's keep on going.
Known as the Loma Prieta earthquake, Kane seems to hint at some kind of correlation between Async opening their portal and these earthquakes hitting Northern California, showing the destruction it caused all the way from...
I feel like this is real. You know what? I don't know what's real or not. Like, there's so much AI. I'm sure, like, he never used AI. I hope he never used AI. But, like, guys, I don't know what's real, what's fake anymore. My mind is just like, man, that looks so real. And then it turns out to be fake. And I'm like, I get so sad. I get so sad. How could I not know that puppy that was dancing was fake and it was AI? God damn.
San Francisco to Oakland, destroying bridges and hurting a lot of people, showing that the earthquake actually originated around San Jose and between Santa Cruz, along the San Andreas fault line. Could this possibly be where Async is located? Even if we don't know that, something is clear. Async is testing things that it doesn't have the power to control. If just opening the portal caused these massive earthquakes to happen, I can only imagine what the complex itself can do. And besides that, what does the US government have to say about what Async is doing? There's no way they're just gonna turn a blind eye to Async causing earthquakes, unless Async is keeping them out of the loop. But horrifyingly enough, this might be the most least worrisome thing that everyone should be focusing on.
I mean, this is what our paid taxes, our tax dollars, but you know, whatever taxes go to is the government stuff that fucks us over because the government wants more. I don't know. You know what? I don't even know what I'm saying. I just want money, man. I don't want to pay taxes. I want to keep my money. Unless, like, the taxes just give me back a lot of money. Like, you know, not, like, $12, but it gives me back, like, 50 or, like, 5,000. Sure, I'll do the taxes. I do my taxes, guys. Please do your taxes. Don't be a criminal. Okay? Maybe you'll get money back, okay? Yay!
Because in the following video, Missing Persons, we are shown a compilation of missing people posters of all ages, followed by a graph showing reported missing persons cases skyrocketing in late 1989 after the sixth test. And it's clear that these missing people are a result of no clipping into the Backrooms. I didn't mention at first, but the date in the description reads February 3rd, 1990, only a couple months after the opening of the gateway. What's really interesting to think about though is that you would think people would know something weird is going on. Like if your friend all of a sudden phased out of reality in front of you, as well as hundreds of other people randomly going missing nationwide at rapid rates. Something has to budge. But anyway, we're once again back in the complex. This time we follow a team of Async employees exploring. The only thing guiding them back to reality is a long rope on the ground, and as they look around, they come across a corpse of someone. The only thing is that they are covered by some kind of fungus reaching all the way up the walls. It's also the same color of that skinny monster in the first video. Could those two somehow be connected? As they get closer, the Async employees seem shocked that the body's even there, before pictures of bacteria pop up with...
Wait, is that the cameraman? Because, like, that could be the cameraman, right? Does it look like the cameraman? Kind of does.
Another blue screen reading, "If anybody, blame him," spelled backwards.
Whoa,
Who him is, I'm not sure of right now, but if I had to guess, it has to be the only named person in the series thus far, Ivan Beck, the vice president of Async.
Oh, yeah,
but
blame him.
That's purely based on process of elimination for right now, unless it's that unnamed scientist who basically led the Backrooms door to opening, but I doubt that. Moving on to the next one, informational video was created February 29th, 1990, only a couple weeks after the expedition team made contact with that fungus-covered body. Informational video acts as more of a trainee video that jobs will have you watch before starting. From the opening title, it seems like the team venturing in and documenting the complex are KV-31. We learn a couple minor things in this video, such as the doorway to the complex I've been referring to this entire time is actually known as the threshold to async, as well as the many names that async refers to the backrooms as. One I've been saying is the complex, but it's also known as the machine, the door, and hallways. The video also tells how talking about the complex is strictly prohibited. Before, for a split frame, the map that was
Excuse me, why? Why talking about is like, you can't. Dude, this is what you're doing with our tax dollars, hello? At least say it.
was seen being created during test 6 pops up, and another blue screen with more backwards text reading. Not that it would do any good, but... and I can't read the rest. I'm unsure if the text is referring to information getting out not doing any good because either the government is already behind this, so you're not gonna stop.
Yeah, the government's behind it. The government's not gonna stop, okay? It's just gonna keep on going until they get what they want and make sure it's perfect so people, you know, like, it is a smart idea because, like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of people who want to live in a house or, like, somewhere, and it's so expensive. Guys, living is expensive. It sucks, man. I hope everyone's fine. A little break for you guys, you know, just make sure to drink water, you know, take a little deep breath in, everything's gonna be fine. I know this is like, whoa, like, random part of the video, like, but yeah, like, living is hard, man. Be safe.
Stop them, or because the complex itself is already open, so it's too late to stop. I had a theory that maybe all the blue screens are in connection, and if we read them in order, it actually all connects. If anyone, blame him. Not that it would do any good, but that's just a theory. Not a game theory. After this, the video shows how you're supposed to enter the complex, only going in groups at a minimum of 3, before switching to that day's expedition. At 11:36 a.m., we are shown the recording, and it seems that they have rebuilt the threshold, making the entryway more secured compared to when we last saw it, basically on fire. And as they walk and talk, it's hard to describe what exactly they're saying since the suit muffles their voice, but they seem to be talking about a situation that happened 2 weeks ago during their voyage, possibly referring to the corpse they had found and gathered to be further studied, which is something we will see coming up. This next part, though, I have some trouble hearing what they are saying.
I mean, do you really think that there's actually a vaccine in this situation?
I'm basically, like, I can't hear shit. I'm not gonna lie. I go, if you mumble something, I'll be like, what? Say it again. What? And I'm like, okay, whatever.
There's too many variables.
It seems he says, I mean, do you really think we would go back to a toxin in this situation? I mean, there's too many variables. I'm unsure if that's exactly what's being said, and if anyone in the comments knows better than me, it would be a huge help. But if they're saying toxin, I want to believe they're referring back to that black fungus that was surrounding the corpse, possibly showing how the complex itself might be a toxic environment. I mean, they are wearing hazmat suits, and I never mentioned in that first found footage video, the cameraman at one point does cough while walking around.
Yeah.
I just brushed it off at the time.
That's true.
Maybe there's more to it than I expected. As we follow one of the workers' POV as he walks, he notices what sounds like crowd noises coming from a hallway.
Hey guys.
Isn't that crazy? I don't know, like, if there's crowd noises and I was like, there's like no one here, buddy. Like, what's going on?
You hear this? Hey.
Well, that's not good. It's interesting if the backroom shifted its walls around, or if he possibly was just sent to a different time in that same place. I mean, it is the same exact corridor, just with the team no longer there. Rightfully panicked and without the rope to lead him back, he wanders aimlessly and scared as the corridors and walls begin to blend together. He then enters a huge room with stands, long shelves, and charred debris on the floor. We also hear him cough as well, making me think more and more that possibly just being in the complex is having a dangerous effect on human bodies. Pulling up on...
Yeah, if it does, then yeah, it's not gonna be good for the public, is it? Oh god. Oh man, is that, well, what if the monster was actually human that stayed too long as an experiment to see if someone can live there, and now it's like the monster? That would make sense.
A seemingly black hole in the wall, he turns on his flashlight to reveal a completely new area with tree pattern wallpaper covering the room, and a lonely axe with an assortment of wheelbarrows around. And is that a barn? What is going on?
This is
crazy. The barn itself actually doesn't look like a 3D object, but a wallpaper placed on the wall itself, like a background.
Yeah.
We also hear what sounds like a squeaky door quietly opening, but it's really hard to tell.
I don't
What that
like
could
that.
mean, I'm really unsure, but it has to do with something with the crowd noises we heard earlier. Possibly just being the sounds of the real world you can hear in the complex through null zones. As for why this place looks like a cottagecore's dream room, the theory I have for this is a little out there. But throughout the entirety of the complex and its many levels, they all have one thing in common. They are places where humans would naturally gather and be at, but there isn't any there. We have office walls and hallways, apartment/hotel complexes, and what seems to be the best attempt at creating a barn area with trees surrounding it. It's almost like the complex itself is alive and is trying to imitate what is a normal world but just can't comprehend it, making crude and weird mirror attempts. But finally, this lost crew member is able to find some kind of exit door, but something's off. It doesn't seem like the one he—
What do you mean, if something's off? Everything's off in this place, no matter what. Like, it's kind of terrifying, just, like, being there.
He originally entered in with his crew. And when he walks through the doorway—
Like, what? That's not scary. No? Was it trying to imitate, like, the crew room?
Hello? Hey!
it seems some kind of alarm is set off, but we actually can see the threshold door right there in front of him. But that front computer with the window, it more closely resembles the setup we saw in the March 11, 1990 archive video. And by looking at the blueprints drawn at the end of the video, we can actually see that the threshold is connected to that back wall, entering into this huge room, with computers at the front with lines to draw where a window is placed. And now from this room, you then enter the complex. But the thing is that March 11th video was released in the Backrooms world June 1991. Almost a year later. So could this be an actual exit, but just 1 year in the future? That would back up my theory earlier that the complex time traveled the async worker into a different period when his team just wasn't at that location. And would also give reason as to why the alarms would sound, since no one should be in there at that time. If so, it seems async has learned to somewhat stabilize the entrance more, even being able to build into the complex somewhat.
That makes sense.
But what does that mean for our out-of-time friend? That's something we're gonna find out in upcoming videos, but the series is actually gonna take us back a little bit.
Wait, we're gonna go back to the guy with the like, is that the camera? That has to be like the other cameraman, you know?
An autopsy report. Right away, we are shown the John Doe's autopsy report dated February 5th, 1990, 2 days after the body was found in the complex by the research team. We learned a little bit about the fate of the man, the scientist saying he died from malnutrition, seemingly 5 days before he was found. But what's interesting, even though he says that the body itself has severe tissue damage, it seems that the decomposing process was somehow halted. We are shown some kind of growth seemingly mutated with the fungus covering it. There's also a sticking on the side, but I just can't quite make out what it says. As he goes on—
I know, like, a lot of people, especially when you're, like, doing horror movies or stuff like that, I wish they would write down stuff so you could probably, like, or, like, make it less blurry so you can, like, read what it is and kind of learn more, but I get it.
He says that tissue-wise, some parts of the body were kept perfectly intact, while others were completely taken over by the fungus, which we actually learned is a form of hay bacillus, which isn't dangerous as the doctor describes, but for some reason, in the conditions of the complex, it seems to basically mutate it and have it attack and feed on our human bodies, making me think that the bacteria itself is keeping some parts of the body fresh while also slowly consuming it. Something else to note, remember when I mentioned that the fungus looked the same color as the monster in the first video? What if it really is the same thing? And this stick figure creature is just a huge bacteria monster, feeding on all those that fall into—
I mean, it could be a huge bacteria monster. Isn't there some stuff, like fungus, that control, you know, maybe I'm just reading too much fan fiction or books about things that take over, you know? Shit, man. I should stop reading. It's just, I don't know. I'm blurring the lines of reality!
The back rooms. I mean, we see how it wraps around the cameraman, looking more like it was going to consume him than outright kill him. And if that's true, maybe this is the beginning stages of that monster coming into form. Because the crew seems to have not come into contact with this tall figure, because they would definitely not be walking around so calmly if they knew it was lurking. The doctor then closes with asking Ivan Beck, the vice president of Async, where this body came from.
Mr. Beck, may I ask where this subject came from?
Somewhere.
So it seems that the complex and the project itself really is kept under wraps, especially if their own autopsy team doesn't know what's happening. The video closes with a very creepy compilation that I'll just let you guys watch.
Oh, okay. I love creepy stuff. Yay, I can't wait. Yay. This seems so fun. Oh, yay.
Breaking down the compilation,
That's
it seems
evil.
to be filled with images of bacteria, political officials, people, inventions, the universe, bombs, and volcanoes all mixed in with different things we've seen of the backrooms, the threshold, the corpse, as well as text on the screen. It's cut off, but I can somewhat read out what it's saying. And to that point, the sentiment. All serious engagements in this environment was never suited for mankind. To maintain, delusion would be to condemn. Ending on this picture of the—
I like how he did that. of like, oh, I don't even know what this like word is. What like it makes sense because like everything's cut off. But yeah, they were probably trying to fix like people not being able to afford homes and stuff like that, and maybe probably made like the back rooms and fucked up. And in creating that, they probably made a bacteria monster, but the bacteria just like coming to life and or like in the back rooms you just get really sick and maybe that back like when you get really sick the bacteria just takes over. I don't know, that's actually pretty interesting.
Threshold when it first opened with what I can only describe as either the sun or some kind of nuclear bomb detonating overlaid onto it. The video itself has a lot of things in it, but the overarching message that it seems to be trying to tell is that these are important events, moments in history that changed the course of the world. The sailing of Christopher Columbus, the creation of cars, space exploration, along with moments of mass destruction, nukes being dropped, volcanoes erupting, along with men in suits that oversee everything. The bacteria is of course referring to the fungus found in the backrooms, but to me honestly, it seems that the video is implying the contact that Async and the US government has made with the backrooms is an event so huge it can be compared to other world-changing moments in human history. Something so big it's lumped in with the discovery of the Americas, but so powerful and dangerous that what they have just opened could be akin to how humans created the nuclear bomb. I mean, if the video at the end truly is a bomb overlaying the threshold, then that means Async has just opened the doorway into powers so dangerous it could cause the end of the world. But who really knows?
I thought it was just a sunset, I'm not gonna lie. A really creepy sunset, not a bomb, but also I'm not smart.
And before we move on, I want to again implore you guys to go watch these videos and the series itself in its entirety. Kane does a really good job of making this world come to life and giving it an aura
it's insane.
of horror that I just can't do justice. So if you do like the series from what I've explained, stop, go watch. I'll link it in the description below and I don't know, watch the whole thing, get the full experience, or just continue on from where I left and come up with your own theory.
Like, I really like how he used, like, the 3D stuff, like, animations. It really does look really freaking good, and that it's real. Like, that's so awesome.
Just make sure to come back and let me know what you thought of in the comments. But if you're still here, let's move on to the next video, Motion Detected. It seems some time has passed, moving us to March 5th, 1990. The Async crew is beginning to build out the room in front of the threshold like we saw in their blueprints. They've also set up cameras in front of the doorway and along certain diagonals so they can watch anything that might move. I don't think they're expecting the bacteria monsters, more likely just to view and record if there's actually anything in this complex. What's really interesting from this map too though, is it seems they have a good sense of the layout of at least some sections near the threshold, but most importantly, it looks like there's actually an end or an opposite side to the complex.
There's an end.
It's funny to me that the equipment is basically just a camera on a tripod. I forgot this is in the 90s and they don't have 4K miniature cameras embedded in the walls yet. Accompanied with this, we're also shown all the footage of the motion alerts that happened that
I wonder if like the new Backrooms movie is based on the now time, because that'll be kind of like interesting to see like how everything's set up now in the Backrooms when we have all this technology. That'd be so cool to see.
The first couple of hours are full of normal occurrences. I mean, normal for the Backrooms at least. Motion is detected when the crew walks by at the beginning and the end of their expedition, as well as movements from a supervisor and sounds of the threshold closing. But an hour after midnight, at 1 a.m. on March 6th, weird, almost breathing noises can be heard.
No.
As well as just an hour later, the mic apparently fails, which is weird for a US government-backed tech company. You'd think they would get some mics that don't break, but finally, we actually see some kind of movement in the far left corridor. It looks only like a shadow of tentacles moving around in the air, but there's no way to know exactly what it is.
What the hell is
because
that?
This doesn't look like the bacteria monsters we were seeing before. But looking back at found footage 1, I noticed that as the cameraman was being chased by the monster, it seems that he no-clips through the walls. It's really hard to see, but rewatching it back, he just phases through the ceiling, through the wall in front of him. And for a series so interwoven and particularly fleshed out, I don't think this is a mistake. And like we see with this tentacle here, it seems to be floating.
I mean, it could be a mistake, you know, because that was the first video. It could be like, oh, fuck, you know, who knows? Also, if there's multiple ones, like, I wonder, like, what they do. They're just chilling around, like, okay, I see you. I guess, like, they're, maybe, like, if it's one person, they're like, okay, attack! But, like, if it's, like, multiple people, they're like, I don't like that. There's so many. Oh, no. So, I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder how it'd feel if there's, like, more than like, if there was someone hiding behind and they're like, boo! You know, a group pops out and they're like, no, there's so many! And the bacteria monster runs away. I don't know, man. I'm just thinking of stuff.
And flies through the ceiling. So on top of the horrors that those creatures already bring, are you telling me they can also phase through walls? But how is that possible? Why would they be able to do that? We know the complex has null zones where people can phase in and out of it, but could it also add that property to different organic matter? We're just gonna have to keep a close eye on moments like that to see if we can get any more evidence. But for now, let's move on to Prototype. Prototype, unlike Motion Detected, is not straightforward at all. It's much different than what we are used to for the Backrooms. We're shown test footage of what seems to be the first test model of the Threshold, albeit on a much smaller scale, but just by seeing the power it's able to create and emit, there's no doubt in my mind we're looking at the beginning stages of the machine. It seems to be a metal ball surrounded by shooting mechanisms, which, if I had to guess, shot particles out of it. But this video also gives us a possible location of where the Backrooms are, or at least another important area, and if I'm correct, the only other name we've gotten in this series besides Ivan Beck. Oak Ridge National Laboratory is a real research lab in the US, located in Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville. If the prototype research took place here, then I'm sure that the Threshold experiment most likely was here as well. But that kind of throws off my ideas of where it originated due to the earthquakes. So that may not be true, but something tells me this place is important too. Looking under that, we can see that the prototype was created under the supervision of a Philip R. Heyman. If this is before the creation of Async, I will throw my hat into the fire and say that this is probably either the president or the founder of Async, but we'll see how that theory unfolds.
I mean, like, a lot of things could be made in other places, and then they're like, okay, well, if, I don't know, crazy stuff happens in California, and especially, like, earthquakes, you know? So, it wouldn't be my surprise if they, like, okay, let's make this over here, and then move it to California, where they have a lot of fucking earthquakes, you know? And, if it happens, they'll just think, it's an earthquake, you know?
Moving on to the longest video in the series so far, Pitfalls follows Marvin E. Lee, one of the researchers going through his daily routine into the complex. Dated May 6, 1990, we see him and the rest of the KV-31 crew getting ready. Also learning the names of two of the other three researchers, being Mac and George. Async has also been ramping up their work around the Threshold, making them more fortified every time we see it. As they walk through, they seem to be talking about approvals for expanding further into the complex and mapping more out. And we can see the methods they are using to ensure not getting lost, implementing ropes into the ground and markings across the floor. As they explore around, they come across this carpet-covered grid pattern floor with
this was like a little weird, because like all the different holes is different kind of rooms or like different places to go. Like, that's, I don't know, that's just scary to me.
Of bottomless pits. They decide to venture across, which is astonishing, especially since they have no harnesses. And after one ventures across to see what's through the door on the opposite side, he implores Marvin to follow him before.
Like, what the fuck? He fucking falls! Ouch.
Yeah.
Right before he falls, for a split second, a blue screen again pops up reading, "While data could be inferred from these readings, nobody knew what would actually be found on the other side."
You know what's funny? So, like, if I was to do that, I would be on my hands and knees, okay? I'd be, like, crawling like that. I don't want to fucking tiptoe, like, on the high wire, high rope, whatever. Nah, I'm crawling on my hands and knees. Fuck that.
I think this refers to the complex as a whole, and that no matter what technology Async uses to try and gather data, they'll truly never know what the complex has in store for them. After Marvin falls, they think of a plan to get him back, but he hears something.
Monka S.
What was that?
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Run, bitch!
Sounded like...
Run, Forrest, run! How many of you guys know that reference? You know? How many of you guys know what's going on? If you guys don't know, I'm old as fuck then.
What are you down to?
It was that blood?
I hear yelling. Like, a person is yelling.
A person?
As he continues towards this opening at the bottom of the walls, he sees an entirely different world. It looks like an entire neighborhood that was stolen from the world and plopped into the complex.
That's crazy.
The team urges him not to continue, but Marvin thinks back to those null zones we learned about earlier. He thinks there might be someone who had fallen in and needs help. This area is much more fleshed out than anything we've seen so far.
Run.
It's a long cry from the attempt the complex tried to make with the barn, with full-on 3D houses now being made, even having a night sky above it. Though it's clearly just a wallpaper, but he doesn't have time to admire.
Yeah, fuck no. No. Just watching this gives me, like, anxiety. Just watching this is just like, oh my god, why would you go? Like, someone needs my help. Fuck them. Let me help myself, and then we could get, like, a crew to, like, help them. Get the fireman here. Is that gonna move? Something gonna move? Why would you? Oh.
Can you hear me?
Screams and yelling of a male voice can be heard coming from one of the houses. As Marvin enters, he is greeted by a room filled with inverted turn signs before again hearing a cry for help. Going further down in the house, he seems to be put in a maze of hallways, as his signal with the rest of the crew goes fuzzy. But for this next part, I just want you guys to experience this, and I'll come back after.
Why would you want me to experience it?
Oh my god.
What?
I think someone's been living down here.
Living down there? That's not possible.
Oh my god, no.
Hey, can you hear me? I think I got him.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
No. What the fuck?
Not a person.
What is that?
That is not a fucking person!
What? Marvin, talk to me. What do you see?
Oh my god.
This was really unnerving to watch, especially late at night. And while writing this, I'm not gonna lie, the way the monster is able to mimic human voices crying out for help, as well as its painful scream it gives out while chasing, is nightmare fuel. So right off the bat, it seems that this monster preys on other humans that have fallen into the complex through null zones, using its voice to lure others out of hiding, only to be attacked. If it acts anything like the monster we saw in the very first video, more than likely it eats or devours the people it catches. If we're following the idea.
Oh my god, no. Yeah, this is why, if you're in like an abandoned place, help! No, you call 911. I mean, they can't call 911, but like, you get the point. You just bring other people, and maybe they will be scared, right? They want
idea that these things may be made up of human-eating bacteria. Because it might be scary to think that this thing might have at one time been a human. If these creatures really aren't bacteria monsters, I think that they are actually other people, other humans that have morphed into these things after being in the.
I said that. My thinking cap was on. I said that. Oh my god, I said that. Let's go. I do think maybe like they were human. Like ever since like the no clip and like people got missing, they probably turned into like bacteria monsters because of the environment that they're in, and it would like, and then they went, you know.
Complex so long. Due to the environment the complex creates, it changes them over time. And they are only able to survive off of other victims that have fallen in. And if that's true, then maybe it makes sense why it can still scream out in a human voice, because it's all that it had left of its past self. Even if not, one thing is for sure, these monsters aren't just acting on pure instinct, they're intelligent. They understand how to lure out human prey. And oddest of all to me is the way it uses the words, "Can anybody hear us?" Not "Can anybody hear me?" It uses the word "us" specifically. I'm not sure if it means that it's attacked groups of people down here, or if it knows that humans will flock towards other groups of people. But this section was honestly so scary on my first watch through. Just on how horrifying sound design is for this monster, this is something that any person would get the chills listening to. And as Marvin makes his way back from the hole he fell in, it's all you can hear.
Just go back to where the hole. Why would I want to listen to it? I hate that. I hate this. I don't like the moaning. You see I'm smiling, but I'm actually fucking terrified.
I'm surprised the monster isn't able to get into the room and attack him, as it might just not be agile enough to fit through the small underpass. But more importantly, we can see that Marvin begins to cough.
Uh-oh, he's infected.
Even with the hazmat suit he has on, the complex still seems to have some kind of health effect on him. I researched more into Hay bacillus, and it seems that the bacteria itself can cause respiratory problems, leaving some with simple reactions like allergies, but can also cause things like pneumonia. And thanks to its amazing durability, it can basically survive in any environment. So if the complex itself is ramping up the way the bacteria acts, then it's completely possible it could be very harmful to humans. Marvin is able to luckily escape as the crew uses a rope to pull him up. But the main question I'm left wondering after this video is, where does Async go from here? I said before, they must not have came into contact with one of these.
Where Async goes from here is down.
Monsters yet, because they walked around the complex so calmly, too unworried. But if researchers know that thing is lurking around waiting for them, how will they continue to go back out and explore again and again? Well, from the looks of the title on the next video, we may not have to wait long to find out. Report follows right after the events that took place on May 6th's research voyage and run-in with the monster. We open up on Async Labs as the audios from Marvin Encounter plays.
That is not a fucking person!
Marvin, talk to me. What do you see?
Closing in on the threshold door opening up, and we can see the entire crew made it back safely. But what
is there
seems like a higher up is waiting for them, who, if you had a keen eye last video...
Can they have a fucking gun? I'm sorry, but like, oh, we're just scientists. You're in America. I'm sorry, but like, if you're a scientist and you're going out on a new thing, like, you know, something strange where, you know, nothing exists, grab a gun. I don't care. You hear something? Go for it, man. Oh, what? I shot the wall? Hey, it's just a wall. Thank God there's no monsters. Just grab a gun. Get a flamethrower. Do something, please. It's terrifying.
Video was there as Marvin was entering the threshold. We watch as multiple async researchers seem to overlook the camera footage of Marvin's POV, all of them horrified at what exactly they are witnessing. Also, this change of style from special effects to in real life footage works so well. Actually, seeing some faces to the async names makes it feel more real, instead of just faceless entity that's up to no good. Seeing how the scientists who are working here react to the otherworldly being just makes me feel like, yes, finally someone else knows about this insane thing too. And as the in real life footage ends, we are shown different still shots of other parts of the complex and the further development they've done, going so far as to build an entire mechanical door. From my guess, that encounter spooked Async's team so much that they made further precautions that if that thing is ever seen again, it will not make it out the complex. As we are shown electrical schematics of some sort.
I wonder if they would put like stuff to help them go into a safe room, like, you know, if like people fell in, you know, no clipped into this world, they would be like, okay, we're gonna have to save some people and you know, go venture out, maybe make some like hey, here's the safe room, da, da, da. I mean, that would be nice, but also it's the government, or it's async. They're kind of the same, right? I don't know.
Most likely pertaining to the giant metal wall they are having built right outside the threshold. Yeah, I'm sure that thing will be the answer to all these cosmic horror problems.
Yeah!
The next video presentation takes place only a couple days after, on the 8th of May, presenting a project called Ace Space on a projector. We're then given the Shark Tank pitch for what is alternate reality storage units. Well, it's basically what the presentation makes the complex out to be, being made most likely for the US government, as we know that Async is trying to get government backing, which we learned of if you watched the third test video. Hey, Async is located in California. Why is hell always in California? As the informational plays.
Why is hell always in California? Take that back. Take that back. California's nice. Hell is in Florida, okay? Get it right. And it is. I'm not gonna lie. There's just a lot of Florida man doing weird shit. I'm not gonna lie. Florida's nice, you know, just visit. But it's hot as fuck. I hate the heat, so can't really say anything. I'm sorry, people who from Florida. I understand you, though. It's a nice place. Be safe.
Redacted section is shown describing how the low proximity magnetic distortion system, damn tongue twister, or the threshold is created. Most likely redacted because either Async doesn't want anyone else to know the method of opening the Backrooms portals, because they are really sitting on a gold mine, and you'll see why in a second, or because the science behind it is so dangerous the government would probably shut it down. As the presentation continues, they seem to be marketing the complex as some type of storage for both items and people, trying to come up with a solution for very real-world problems that we face today, such as pollution storage and an ever-growing population, showing how their solution will increasingly become cheaper and cheaper to lease and maintain compared to other conventional storage units. How this is possible? Well, it seems that Async wants to utilize the complex's potential infinite space, something that any normal storage company just couldn't keep up with. But Async isn't content with just using the Backrooms as storage. It looks as though Async wants to implement all kinds of living into the complex. Warehouses, restaurants, apartments, entire businesses into the Backrooms, basically allowing it to be used as another world where humans can. To
be honest, like, that is smart. However, you can't fucking breathe there, man. I mean, yeah, people can, but you're gonna... Venom's in me! I mean, a lot of people would want Venom in them, you know. A lot of people. You know what they say, wink wonk. But yeah, I mean, that's smart. It would be smart to have, like, another world, another, like, living space, you know. It's smart. I give them that, but also it's kind of scary, no?
Exist. We also get these weird segments of camera footage of workers walking through hallways and what seems to be like someone's POV as they are looking around Async facilities. We also get some concept art of what complex housing might look like. For the low price of $10, you too can enjoy the luxuries of complex living, with no outdoors ever and the chance to get devoured only once a month. We also get another blue screen pop-up with a backwards text, although it is partially cut off to deceive the sounds like federal, i.e. the federal government, because Async as of right now, from all I've seen, just seems like another greedy business that wants money. This idea of infinite storage will make them unfathomably rich beyond a doubt, but there are things they're trying to hide, because if the government knew about corpses being found, the rise of missing people due to the complex, and the bacteria monster that feeds on these lost souls, this entire project will go down. And most likely, higher-ups
Are
will
you
go
sure
to
about
jail.
that?
Async knows all this, but continues forward with their plans, and it seems that someone on the inside is trying to combat this. At least that's what I think, and that's why we keep getting these blue screen pop-ups with cryptic messages. We are then shown Department of Energy workers walking around inspecting the laboratory, seeing the complex itself and mock-ups Async has made to check their work is up to standard.
It's so insane to me, like, how much this has grown. Like, it went from just, like, the cameraman getting eaten to, like, real life people, or maybe this is still, like, animation. I don't know. I'm maybe just crazy, but that's insane. This is so cool.
For greenlighting any sort of funding. But as talks are occurring, something happens. An alarm sounds off before we see this.
Someone getting eaten? Oh, it's the other guy. It's that guy who got lost, and he's like, whoa, where's my team? What the fuck?
The lost researcher in informational video is shown. So it's
Yeah!
true that he did in fact get pushed into the future by the complex to a later time. What does this mean for Async
future.
and their funding is something we are left not knowing at this time. There's something else that's been bugging me too. During the presentation graphics, remember when we were shown this scene, a POV setting of someone looking around the Async complex? That footage intrigues me because there doesn't seem to be a DOE tag like we see on the later film. So
the fuck
I'm
does that
wondering, could this be something else entirely? A worker here clearly, as the person passing by, doesn't question why they are there, but then why would they be filming around the complex? Could this be the person who's writing all these cryptic?
I mean, because they want to record, maybe, like, man, this is what we were before, and this is what we are now. I mean, before and afters are a thing, you know? Videos, stuff like that, renovations. I mean, it could be that, just being like, oh yeah, this person's just doing a before and after kind of stuff. It could also be, like, someone just like, oh, this is evidence, and be warned. But also, it could be just simple. But I'm also simple-minded, so, like, I don't think about much. I'm like, wow, pretty colors.
Text, but all these questions are gonna have to wait because Async is gonna take a backseat for a little as we move on to the next video in the series, Found Footage 2. Opening
A
up to a
car.
room and finding a square spot in her garage that, unbeknownst to her, is actually a null zone into the complex. Testing it out by passing wood chips and a baseball that fall through the ground as if there's no floor. We can even see her sticking an entire ruler in there, but
Holy
this seems
shit.
to cause the null zone to expand and she falls through.
I feel it's like vibrating.
Oh.
What just happened?
Recognizing
Someone,
that the ruler began to vibrate,
get a freaking ladder. Bring her back up. I don't want her to die. I don't want anyone. After the cameraman died in that first one, yes, I'll bring it up. It made me so sad. I'm a sucker for, like, having, like, the main person just survive, okay? I love when people survive in horror films. It makes me so sad when they all die. I know. It's stupid of me, but, like, I don't know. I just want everyone to, like, live happily ever after. And yeah, I do like romance shit too, so maybe that's why. It hurts my heart. I know it's fake and stuff, but I'm just like, no, why?
right before falling. Remember, vibrations is one way that Async detects these null zones since they seem to vibrate at certain rates when they open or close. Walking around, she finds the corner of a kitchen countertop on the walls. Weird. Also, there's a very distinct change in those ceiling lights. Usually we see long, square doctor bulbs, but now they're circular and more homely. Even seeing a light switch on one of the walls that when turned on opens to tall chairs.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm just getting more and more confused. And as she goes on, she even enters this huge design space with a lonely couch in the middle.
Man, if this was a house, it would be my house. But not in a place where I could die. I mean, $10 is $10, right? That's pretty cheap. Would you risk it? If there's more people, I would risk it. I don't know. I stay inside most of the time. Like, I'll just no clip outside, breathe the fresh air, touch some grass, and then no clip back into my house. I don't know. To be honest, that doesn't sound that bad. And maybe getting eaten by a monster, but then there will be people around me, so I might be safe.
And it was here at this point I began to think that these are glimpses of the complex Async is building. Now I know that might not make any sense right now, but we know the complex isn't bound by our sense of time. It can move forward and back however it pleases. As long as you've entered something in the complex, it can move it around time however it wants. So what if these designs, the couches, the light switches, are all moments in the future brought back in time? Looking back at the first found footage video, we didn't know it at the time, but the apartment complexes, the office areas, they're just like the one Async envisioned. This is what they wanted, and it seems that they were were in the process of building it out. But this area seen here is just too random. They wouldn't put in couches and corners of countertops with barely designed rooms, but the complex could be taking what's already.
I don't know. Maybe I would. Maybe I would have an open space concept, okay? You don't know me. You don't know them. Maybe it's just chilling. Maybe they just want that
There in the future and bringing it back in time. Just like how it took the researchers from the past forward, why couldn't it do the same thing but just backwards? As for the distorted chairs, I don't know why those are like that. It's either time traveling in those chairs have made it really distorted, or our legs grow really long in the future. Well, there was another theory I had, which is that as Asing moved more things into the complex, it started to copy rooms and try to make it look as human as possible. But for that one, I'm not as concrete. As she continues to walk around, she finds this giant hole in the floor. As she passes by to a locked door, she peers through the keyhole and we can see a more modern hallway akin to those mock images that Asing made for their presentation. We can also see the spread of the bacteria has multiplied across the ceiling levels of the walls. But that's not the most shocking, as when she turns a corner, we can see a crash car smashed into a wall, revealing that null zones are starting to become so big that whole cars are able to drive through them. What's even more interesting is it looks like this part of the car is still stuck on the other side, as the front end of it just disappears into the wall. Something much scarier is that there doesn't seem to be a driver in the car. And we could see by the handprints on the doorway and the blood dragged across the floor of the housing units, whoever was driving was able to get out. As she enters a dark room, she finds, oh my god, what is this? The bacteria seem to have spread all across this room, but getting distracted by a painting, she fails to notice the bacteria monster right next to her.
What?
And I'm wondering, did the monster devour the driver, or did the driver become the monster? Running away, she circles back to where she first fell in. Again, coming across the hole in the ground, she decides her best chance is to go down it. But it leads to swimming pools. Must be a recreational area Asing develops in the future.
So this is where like the swimming pool kind of thing gets in as well. I see, like, you know, I don't know. I haven't played the game. Is there levels like that in there? Is there? Hopefully there is. That would make a lot of sense. But holy shit, like this is insane.
Monster though is still hot on her tracks, and that honestly is very surprising to me because like we've seen with the researchers, once they get a couple yards away from the monster, it's like they lose them. And this in my mind is just concreting more the theory that you have to have a hazmat suit on so that the monster can't know where you are. Because it's easily finding this girl, as where with Marvin, it was having trouble finding him when he was standing in one place for so long. As she tries to escape the monster, she enters these thin corridors leading to a dead-end room. Seemingly, this is it. There's no way out. But then...
GG's. What is that? What is that?
I have no idea what that was. It looked as though the entire room was about to implode or possibly be transported somewhere else. And I think it's actually the latter. Why I believe this is due to the ending TV screen. Because to see this footage playing means that the camera must have gotten out. And by byproduct, her as well. At least I hope so.
Oh, that makes sense.
So there's a good chance that she was actually teleported out of the backrooms at this moment. To where, I have no clue, but hopefully somewhere safe. To me, found footage 2 seems to focus a lot more.
That's kind of insane. That's literally freaking insane. Holy shit.
On those green lit rooms. We see them all over as she's running, and especially at the end. And as the series goes on, green lighting becomes a much bigger part in the story. So just keep that in the back of your mind for now.
Oh, well, yellow and green are like super close to each other. I thought like maybe they would be blue, because what's the opposite of yellow? It's blue on the color wheel and stuff like that. So I think that would have been nice if it was blue, but I kind of get the green because it's literally right next to yellow.
As we move on to the next video, I think for the first time in the series, a video actually doesn't have a correlated date with it. But I think this is done on purpose because this one in particular isn't like any of the other videos in the series. This one isn't classified as found footage, presentation informationals, or research expeditions. This entire video takes place in the mind of the lost Asing researcher. We see a missing poster for a James E. I would like to think that's the narrator's name. And as the narrator talks, psychedelic visuals of parts of the outside world and Asing labs take over. He talks metaphorically about his life represented as a house that was washed away by the sea. Many people, when you look out into the sea, it seems almost never ending. This will be a good representation for the infinite backrooms. He talks about heavily how his house or life was forgotten, just like the many other people's lives that were forgotten forever in the Yellow Sea. Yeah. And as the video comes to a close, we're shown the hazmat suit of an Asing member.
I don't really like the Yellow Sea. It just sounds like a sea full of piss. I don't like that, and I don't like that, man. You could have done something else. You could. I get why, but my goodness.
Saying the words, "Could there ever be anything greater than this?" That last line, I believe, is to be seen from the view of someone trapped in the endless hallways, in a complex that is so infinite it seems unmatched, unrivaled in endless power and madness. Could there ever be anything greater than this? The whole poem really seems to hint at the feeling of insanity that sets in while in the complex, being forgotten by a world that no longer exists to you as this place becomes your home. And it seems easy to lose that old life from
I don't
your
want
thoughts,
that place to
and the
become my
complex
home.
reminds you of that. I haven't mentioned it before, but the Backrooms and all it entails really is a product of liminal spaces. Those being places that feel familiar, almost like a memory, but just forgotten. This was the original idea that spawned the Backrooms photo, a place that seems almost familiar but humanly unnatural, just like if it was somewhere you might have remembered passing by or being in for just a second. It also seems that this person remembers the life they had before and makes it apparent to say they haven't forgotten. Could this be the one who was lost in the complex during informational video?
He looks so weird walking
totally
around.
isn't a dead giveaway, but on top of that, we also don't really know how long he was wandering around before reaching the new threshold door. He could have ran back into the complex or could be under analysis at Async, and that makes me wonder, how did Async handle that situation? What did they do when one of their lead researchers disappeared out of thin air? And it's not that far-fetched to say that going through this traumatic event has him rethinking what he was once a part of and now possibly seeks to take it all down. But only time will tell as we continue on. The next video, titled Reunion, is dated May.
I mean, like, it depends how long he's been gone, you know? Like, maybe it was 10 minutes a day, but then he lost years of, you know, living with his family and stuff like that. So that fucking sucks.
25th, 1990, only a couple weeks after Marvin's encounter with the bacteria monster,
Get
and
into the
3 months after the events of
2000s.
the informational video take place. Opening up on the hills of Southern California, we watch an unnamed old man jot down in his notebook, before we are shown a coffee mug with acronyms MLML in a globe with the coordinates 36, 47, 64 north, and 12137.27 west written across it. Checking these coordinates, they are the exact locations for Moss Landing Marines Laboratories in California, which borders the ocean and is surrounded by mountainous views, just like the live footage sections that show up periodically throughout the series. So they must have some connection with Async Laboratories, which we know is located in the Southern California area thanks to the graphics shown in presentation. But I would not recommend going to the labs expecting to find some backroom stuff. You're just gonna scare the scientists. We then see the advancements Async has made, moving more and more into
I don't ever get when someone references, like a movie references real life, and then everyone goes like, oh my god, do you know this movie? Bah, 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 bah. Like, it's just like, okay. Like, there's like a lot of movies and TV shows shot up in like Canada, and you're like, oh my god, I recognize that. And I think there was this one show, Psych. It was filmed in Canada, and then like online I saw that they have a little photo of the actors from where they filmed. It's just so cute. But you don't see, like, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's like a niche show, but I think it's like so cool. Like, hey, this was filmed here. But some people get crazy and they're like, oh my god, I gotta go there. Gotta see the next clue. You know, it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, I think some people did that for like Digital Circus, and like, oh my goodness, people are crazy. No offense, but I'm also crazy, but not that crazy, you know?
to the complex, now using carts to get around, almost like they imagined for their presentation video. At this point, it also really struck me that I never question how things work in the complex. It seems that as long as you have some kind of marker that is in view or that you're following, the complex doesn't seem to move around or change much. It's only when you're isolated away from anything is when you begin to be at the will of the walls. Crazily, it also seems that Async has decided the hazmat suits are no longer needed, as this lady's just walking around with no worry, just breathing in all that dangerous bacteria. We also get a first look at a rover. Most likely, since workers are no longer willing to try and deal with the possibility of becoming the monster's next lunch, this is the new way of exploring without causing any more monster run-ins. The team onboards the section we saw previously closed up in reports, ready to continue their work. I guess I never noticed too how those workers also didn't have hazmat suits on. Kinda just flew over my head they were exposing themselves in the complex like.
Aren't they supposed to be fucking scientists? Didn't they know? Well, I guess you can breathe the air now. Good luck, buddies.
This. I always assumed this area was right where the threshold was, but I guess I was wrong. We then see the rover in action, as we hear Async workers who are directing the driver where to go. It seems even though this is much deeper than the scientists are at, they seem to know the layouts of further parts of the complex still very well. As they are conducting their search, the researchers also seem to be talking about someone else to each other.
Is that really what he said? I don't think he has a full understanding of the situation.
Oh, I doubt he does either, but I think that matters.
Possibly another coworker who has been having some difficulties at acing. I have my suspicions they're talking about the lost researcher who was found only a couple weeks ago. As he drives around, we can see the rover has reached back to the room with the holes in the ground. And oh, I guess people really still are being sent out there.
Oh my
Could not
gosh.
pay me enough money to do that. Through their conversations, it all
Listen, if I'm in a group of 5 and we all hold hands, I am down to get paid $5 million to go in the back rooms, okay? Like, we go out over there in an hour, we got the little thing ties to us so we can come back. I'll get paid for an hour for $5 billion. Million, billion, doesn't matter. Not 5,000, it gotta be higher than that, so I can buy what I want when I come back, okay? And then I'm never doing it again.
also seems that they can somehow scan the quality of the air to make sure it's not toxic. That's why workers is
I
without having to worry about getting
see.
sick. But they stay on the side of caution as apparently certain areas of the complex may be more toxic than the others. They refer to the floor room as 14D and as the bacteria monsters as Marvin's friends, which is pretty funny.
What?
We also get a good look at this new suit here, and I wonder why his is different from the others. We're then shown
Where's the fuck your gun? I'm sorry. Where's your gun? Where's a flamethrower? Well, okay, well, if you have oxygen, maybe that's bad, but also, just get a gun or something. A pitchfork, something.
time lapses of them boarding up the holes to create a safer walkway. We can also see the crew has brought some defenses in case anything happens.
Yay!
Mark mans the shotgun.
Yes! Yes! A fucking gun! Finally, after years of begging, they finally have a gun. I'm so happy. This is America. Yay! Oh, I'm kidding. Oh, shit, man. I never understand, man. It's just like, why don't you just bring a fucking gun? I would have bought a gun, like, a million years ago. Right? Listen, it's a scary place. Just, like, dead silent. I'm not fucking with that.
And as the crew goes into an unmapped room 14C, they notice that the walls aren't made of the same material we're used to, as the entire environment seems to change at a line in the middle of the room, like a biome in Minecraft. But the thing is, as they walk around, they begin to see that tiles from the ceiling are missing and move, almost as if someone or something has been rummaging in the ceiling. As they venture deeper, they come across a makeshift map of the area. But at the same time, communications begin to cut off and their signal dies out. Not wanting to be
No, get out. I'm sorry.
lunch meat, they decide to head back.
Thank God. We're winning. We're so winning.
You get back and they say it's just a non-issue and you just come back around.
Sorry. I that was reflex. I'm scared. Bro, listen, I'm with them. I am in that person. I'm in the camera right now, you know? Shoot! Yeah. Sometimes, like, whenever, like, I'm driving, or, like, I'm driving with my parents, and there's a green light, I'm just like, drive! But there's obviously a car in front, and I don't want to crash or get them scared, so it's just bad thoughts, man.
Around, see what the...
God! I called it! It's gonna eat him?
Okay.
They're attacked by a man wrestling the gun away from Mark. And even though the viewer at this point really shouldn't have any idea who this is, Marvin seems to recognize him.
Wait,
I don't know.
Peter?
Oh shit.
Marv? Marvin?
Yes, it's me. Is it really you?
It's me.
What?
It's been months. We thought you...
And as they talk, it seems to be the same missing async researcher from before. But
What?
wasn't he found when he went into the new threshold area in presentation? Maybe my theory of him running out could be correct. He might have just got too shocked and escaped back into the complex.
What
But
the fuck?
why is he in regular clothes? And as they continue, so many questions begin to pop through my mind. He begins to rant about how Async has covered up his disappearance and faked his death.
They took my life from me, Marv. Everyone thinks I'm fucking dead. My wife and children think I'm dead.
Can you please put down the gun?
Marvin pleads to him, but as this happens, Mark seems to get signal back to Async and starts to call for backup. So left with no choice, a decision is made.
I'm being held at gunpoint
Don't
by a
shoot!
hostile. I repeat, stop.
Don't shoot him, please! Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe having a gun wasn't the smartest idea. I regret saying bring a gun.
The mysterious man escapes, but not before telling Marvin to let the people know that he is alive. As we zoom in on the
Wait,
horrifying
isn't Marvin
picture
dead?
of Mark's shot body. things just got 10 times more interesting. I have so many more questions now than I did at the beginning of the series. And that's just a testament to Kane's ability to have such a multi-layered story. The way he presents everything, it seems that all this was thought out of since the earliest video, possibly before the series even began. And some of the titles of upcoming videos leads me to believe that this isn't the last time we're going to hear about this guy. But before we get into that, we have to look at another short video titled Overflow. Again, another video without a date. An unknown.
You see, I feel like sad, like that dude died. The gun was not the option, man. I regret it. Dude, it was for the monsters, not for people, please. Oh, come on, man.
Narrator talks about the United States' progress of recouping Lend-Lease debt from Russia and once again opening commerce with.
Also, I hope you guys understand the jokes that I'm doing. Be safe. I love you guys.
Between the two powerhouses.
We're narrowing our differences, which have kept us from settling our Lend-Lease debt for 25 years.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Russia apparently taking the deal if they get some bank import credits, which I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
A flash of light is shown, followed by a warning light indicator, showing some kind of overload taking place in the machine. We then pan onto a board with papers pinned up all over it, with the green glow seen from found footage 2 covering the entire room. A map of the US can be seen above, showing what looks like what I would like to think are some significant kind of lines, converging at one point in Texas. There's also reports and writings pertaining to building and documents.
I used to not like Texas a lot, but I've started to like Texas a little bit more, because I'll have a lot of friends in Texas and they just show me how pretty it is and I'm like, oh damn, okay, because I don't like the heat, okay? So like with places that have a lot of heat, I just don't like Australia. I'm sorry, you guys scare me, especially when there's big ass spiders. I'm not dealing with that. When my friends like, oh my god, you should visit Australia. No, I just see videos of just people like looking under their door, like lock thing for their car, trying to open it. No, there's a big ass spider underneath. No, I'm not. No, I would actually like put my hand on the spider, it would bite me and I'd die. It's GG's for me.
Outputs of said machine, but
I'm sure it's not that bad, but like it's just my mind is just, I'm like, oh my god, I can't do that. I mean, maybe I'll visit Australia, to be honest. It seems like a really, really pretty place. And there's Finding Nemo. But yeah, I just have a dumb fear. And I'm sure, like, it doesn't make sense, but, like, there's sometimes, like, people are scared of, like, the pool or the ocean. I mean, I get the ocean, to be honest. It's big and, like, the ocean is actually very scary. Never mind.
The most important part is the approval lines reading approved by advisor Ivan Beck, who we now know as vice president of Async. And the document is dated August 2nd, 1972, way before Async had even been established, and not even when the prototype for the threshold was done yet. Now, taking into account the time period and the narrator's talks in the beginning of the video, I want to say that this opening speech is actually supposed to represent President Nixon addressing the public. After looking up the entire speech with surrounding timelines, I was able to find some saved old news articles that talk about a trade between the Nixon administration and the Soviets during the same year, dated July 11th, 1972. The two nations who couldn't come to an agreement on loan money that Russia needed to pay back to the US for World War II were in heated debate, especially since the times after World War II were critical for both economies, Russia more so because they took on the brunt of the war. And wouldn't you know it, the Soviets talk about wanting bank import credits, which when I looked it up is just low tariffs and import taxes on goods from the US. So this is telling us a couple of things. First off, Ivan Beck was somehow involved in some kind of situation with the US government during the Russian trade plan in 1972. What exactly that is, I don't know, but it seems to be what could have set up everything that is currently happening in motion. Or possibly with the hint of green lights glowing all over the room, we're dealing with some kind of time travel. Could somebody have been sent back to 1972? Or possibly some kind of experiment led to some kind.
I wonder if you can figure out where it gives you, like where it shoots you out in the time frame, that you could come back to the your original time. I wonder if you can do that. That'd be like so interesting. I would really want to see that.
Kind of time travel happening with the green glow. Man, this just added a whole nother layer to the series. Because what has Ivan Beck been doing before Async Labs? What landed him that vice president position? And why is he so important to the story? He clearly has history here, but we just can't figure it out yet. At least I can't. If you guys have some theories on it, I would love to hear it in the comments.
I have nothing
but let's
in my
just
mind.
remember him for now because there's clearly more than meets the eye. But for now, we're back to what I teased earlier. damage control. The second to last video posted at the time of recording, and this one explains a lot. Dated one day after the encounter with the mysterious man in the complex, we listen back to the tape of Mark and his communications with the Async Labs as he is held at gunpoint.
We need immediate armed support in 2014. C. Now being held at gunpoint by a hostile. I repeat, please send immediate armed support to 2014. C.
And the ensuing insanity that then occurs, as it seems like the man now we know is named Peter
Oh,
infiltrates
shit.
back into Async Labs through the threshold, threatening everyone. Luckily, no more harm is done, but it seems he is able to escape. I mean, no one's gonna attack a man with a shotgun. We see him
Yeah.
continue to run around the complex past hallways and workers before what seems like security finally enters, now chasing him down. Before it's too late, he is able to exit through a freight elevator. With this entire situation taking place, Async higher-ups decide it's best to keep everyone overnight. I don't
think, like, I don't know. I don't think in that situation he should have, like, killed that person. Like, why would he do that, man? He just ran. No, that makes me so sad.
know who would agree to that, but we listen in on what they tell the workers through their intercoms.
What happened last night should not have happened. Not here, not with us. What occurred was a gross misunderstanding that was the result of some severe information mismanagement.
We learned that Async was hiding a lot of what was going on with the bacteria monster and the real threats that the complex poses to people that are working around it every day. And they try to basically apologize for the way they conducted things and withheld information, saying they're going to give an authentic telling of what happened. Sure they are. This is totally not going to just try and save.
Yeah, hopefully they will do that all correctly now, right? Like, why would the government even fund them? You know what I mean? Like, the government is not funding them now, like, that I know from the past, like, what we've watched. But, like, dude, you're fucking up.
Face. Retelling how on March 1st, 1990, during an expedition into the complex, this being the same one seen in an informational video, George Levy, Marvin Lee, Ronald McCarthy, and Peter Tench all voyaged into the Backrooms. There's only just one weird thing. We're shown footage that's dated February 27th, but the expedition happened February 29th, so there's some kind of weird discrepancy happening here unless they're just using random footage to show, for example. I had to go back and double check just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. And wait a minute, March 1st? Either Kane got his dates mixed up, or Async is deliberately giving out incorrect information. In universe, Async not only tells but shows the employees the footage of Peter Tench, who is the lost Async worker, disappearing from the group.
Now, I'd like to save the discussion for afterwards, but what you just saw is what we believe to be the moment that Peter was instantaneously transported 2 months forward in time.
And we are told what I suspected all along, that he was pushed forward in time. They also tell what they decided the best course of action was to not only save their own behinds, but also give peace to Peter's family, which was to fake his death via car crash. Totally peaceful. Insanity.
Yeah, no, that's
absolutely soul-crushing if you were Peter Tench, and I understand why he is upset. When Peter comes back to the threshold, he is apprehended by Async and put under testing to make sure he is okay and find out what happened to him. And from here on out is where I begin to really hesitate on how trustful I am with Async's words. As the Async worker continues to tell how they told Peter of them faking his death, he was understanding and willing to cooperate. Their plan for him was to be reintegrated back into society, but apparently Async's plans to get him back into the world took too long. Or what's more likely is they were never gonna let him out in the first place.
Because because then you could just test on him and see, like, if he's okay. You know, like, oh, like, does it change anything? Oh my gosh, what an asshole company.
2 weeks, he apparently started showing signs of paranoid schizophrenia, thinking he was still in some kind of illusion. And coincidentally, the day he was going to be moved back above ground, he decided to run back into the complex away from everyone, as he felt Async was out to get him. Real coincidence there. The day you guys were going to move him up, he decided to run back in. I'm sure that's exactly what happened. I'm not believing anything. There was no way Async was going to allow a story like this even sniffing the idea of coming out. This would absolutely ruin their reputation and any connections with the US government. So I find it really hard to believe Async right now, because I feel like they are just making another cover story to hide their butts from the fact that Peter was never going to leave those labs and that Async was too worried about themselves. But they have to tell the workers this, because if they don't, more likely than not, they won't trust Async either. But from the looks of how everything's been going, everything will begin to crumble, as Tench did escape. Or so I thought.
There's no easy way to say this other than to just say it. I am terribly sorry to inform you all, but Mr. Tench was found deceased halfway down the hillside. The result of an extreme blow to the head.
Oh my God.
It appears appears that while he was running through some brush, he failed to anticipate a sudden dip in the ground and tragically fell forward into a large rock.
I think at this time, Async has reached a point of no return. And what this means for the
Bro, yeah, he totally fell on a rock. Okay, buddy. Okay, there's no freaking way.
company moving forward is honestly up for debate, because if you go as far as to murder one of your own employees, then there's nowhere you won't go. As the narrator closes up, we are shown a syringe, which makes me think for a second maybe Peter wasn't dead, but they instead sedated him and have him locked up in Async somewhere. Before we're interrupted with an array of split-second shots, one being a man in front of a green light, just like the one the girl in Found Footage 2 got consumed in, another being some suits mulling over something, a cluttered desk,
so cool.
Another man running, and then the same picture of that man that was surrounded by green light but now with purple inking. But the most important of all, a still image of what looks like a city with what I can only presume is Peter Tench at the bottom right, showing that he clearly didn't die in those hills. He made it to the city and is still alive. Whether Async might have picked him up, I'm unsure of, but maybe he really is out there, just laying low. And as the video closes, we then fade into an
How, like, if you're on the run and you're presumably dead, how are you gonna, like, buy shit? I'm not gonna lie. You're fucked.
Apartment with a payphone ringing as movie sounds play in the background. Ringing seemingly endless. This series so far has just put me through the ringer, taking me left, right, and looped around in every direction. It just keeps getting better and better the more I put in it. And I'm sad to say there's only one video left, but oh boy are we gonna end on a movie, because the last video in the series up to this point is Found Footage 3 and is 45 minutes long. Damn, that just added another 30 minutes to this video. And I'm gonna warn you, the things I've seen in this last video still have me stunned. But with that being said, let's finish the
don't keep me suspense. Tell me why.
This amazing series out on a banger. In this video, we're introduced to our protagonist, a man who is recording his day-to-day, and at a local fair, he overhears conversations between an executive at a company called Monsanto, who he explains was talking with his project manager about how the work they are doing is apparently affecting kids in the area, causing them to form or be born with some kind of disability.
I realized I recorded a Monsanto exec joking with a DPR manager about a sick kid, referring to it as the bug-eyed one. One of them basically admitted to fault, which, mind you, they aren't doing publicly at all.
Monsanto is a real-world company that dealt with a plethora of lawsuits during the 1990s that allegedly, I'm not trying to get sued here, dealt with a plethora of legal troubles and accusations of polluting soil and a bunch of other things you can look up. Like, the list is long. Again, allegedly. Don't get why we're even told about this. Well, I think this is because this video, unlike the other found footages, doesn't have a date attached to it. So we're supposed to use some context clues to give us an idea of when this is happening. We get an even better idea when we overhear a radio talking about the Oklahoma City bombings, which took place on April 19, 1995.
Okay.
Anyways, as he arrives to his place, he seems to hear some commotion coming from the basement of his house.
No!
At first, it's just maintenance from the house owners, but as he ventures downstairs, he can see something has broken into or possibly out of his house. Hearing more commotion coming from a closet in the same room, he checks to make sure no one's hiding out. Opening the door and nothing. Checking another room, wow, this place is way bigger than I thought, he rounds a corner after hearing some noise and sees an entire hidden hallway behind his broken basement wall. And as he enters...
No, I'm good. Call a friend! Call 911! Like, bring the gun! Someone bring... Yeah, actually, never mind. The last time someone brought a gun, they died. Oh my god. Why can't people be smart, you know? Like, if you guys are in a scary place, man, bring your friends with you. Or call 911. You know, actually don't bring your friends, they might die in a horror movie kind of thing, you know? Fuck. Yeah, no.
He's transported into the complex, dropping in from a cabinet shelf. Surprised he could fit his whole body in there. But more surprising though is how extremely fleshed out the complex has become. Everything looks more and more how Async had imagined it in their presentation video. Office spaces and living spaces all being integrated into the complex itself. And I can imagine that somewhere more into the complex you would begin to see more industrial areas, commerce, or even storage spaces. After walking around, he enters a weird crawl space in the wall that enters into a small living corridors. Going further, he enters through a small room of chairs, most likely some sort of meeting area with what I would presume to be a fake skylight above him. Kind of sad to think that they would have to artificially input sky through a window so that people can feel like they're living a normal life. As he inspects a bookshelf, he finds a hidden passage behind the shelf. going
that's
to,
so weird.
hey, I had one of those things. Literally that exact same rug, actually. Man.
Oh my god,
imagine
yeah,
being a
I
kid
said
living down here,
you.
born in
Oh,
the
I missed that
complex.
rug.
Is that what Async hopes for? As he continues on, he enters what looks like a classroom, but all the chairs have been thrown against the
I
doorway
hate that.
as
No,
if they're trying
that's
to keep something
creepy.
out, or possibly trying to break in. And I don't know if you remember from the first found footage video, but during the second encounter with the bacteria monster, the creature seems to throw a chair at the wall. That was kind of random at first, but now seeing all these chairs basically thrown against this door, it kind of seems like the monster was trying to get into here. Could this be more modern advancements of the threshold and it just looks completely different from what we're used to? Or maybe there's something else behind those doors. Anyways, venturing more in, our protagonist comes across this circle pattern of student books all surrounded by a shape square space, like we saw with the girl in her garage in found footage 2. Most likely a null zone, and with context of the area, probably students had found it, but why then is there no one here? This place looks like it was once inhabited, but everything seems barren, a mess, as if we were seeing the aftermath of a disaster. As he looks around, he notices something in the corner of the room, just out of sight, but from his reaction, I would say it's a dead body. That's just a hunch, but it would explain why the place is such a mess, because if a bacteria monster was tearing through here, maybe the people, and more sadly, the kids, got absorbed. And I'm saying people because to me, this feels like a complex in the future, one that has people in it. Before he can get closer, he hears a noise coming from further down the room.
No.
Oh my god.
What the fuck? Oh my god, why? Why did he have to die? He's gonna die, isn't he? Survive! Run, Forrest, run!
Not wanting to wait and see what it is, he turns his back. But it's not letting him get away that easy. Now with something following him, he ventures down a more office-looking corridor before he passes through a skyway between buildings, unveiling huge structures going on for what seems like miles. Very similar to the huge cavern scene in found footage 1.
That's insane.
The sheer magnitude of this complex and how much it's grown from just the very beginning stages we see it in is honestly disturbing. Disturbing to see that Async is possibly following through with their plans and is actually bringing people down here, even though we know it's a death trap. But how would that make sense? If this is dated in 1995, how is this happening around the same time as the other one when they barely had anything in these rooms? Maybe our cameraman was just pushed further down the line. He then climbs up a wall to another section of the complex, turning on a switch revealing what looks like a miniature house. With more playground equipment, it's theory to think that at some point there might be so many kids down here. At least enough that we see all these toys, classrooms, and other things geared towards children, but it's all empty. Not a single child playing in sight. Deciding to try and stay more hidden, he ventures in with the lights off. Might not have been the best choice though. I think most of the lights in the complex might actually be motion detected, even with the light switches we see. As when our cameraman walks through dark spaces, lights usually turn on. And I doubt the bacteria monster is turning on light switches before he enters a room.
Yeah, that's true.
After some time, we see him enter a room with the lights already on, but something about this place seems off. I don't know if it's just the way the room seems.
Bro, it's just so creepy just seeing this. It's just... It really, like, it really is, like, oh, it's so familiar, but, like, it's not normal kind of thing. And it just scares me, man.
Unfinished, or the random statue that's in the ceiling.
What the fuck?
Really weird. But that's not as weird as when he's walking into a room full of speakers playing music.
Oh.
What is this, a dance studio? The cameraman then looks at a poster on the wall and, hold on. Does that say 2022? How far in the future are we? As he looks around, he finds this huge tower of boxes, crates, and shelves with this weird marking on the wall. A yellow sun with a face with what looks like a blue ring in front of it. I presume to represent the moon. It might be some sort of graffiti, as we see more of them near the top of the structure. He notices a radio in front of him, and he attempts to get signal with anybody, but nothing. This tower in itself is really interesting to me, because I don't think anyone in here would build such a thing. And if this is in the future, why would they have this giant amalgamation of boxes and crates just randomly here?
Wouldn't they just, like, put all... Well, I guess it's too organized to be kind of, like, climbing up. But yeah, that's so weird.
Some kind of radio tower. That makes no sense. But my thinking is halted because at this moment, the music stops and is replaced with a different sound. And I'm gonna let the video play out for a little bit.
Excuse me?
Then come back.
Please don't make me scream. Don't make me scream, please. I'm already scared. From a video. No, just run, just go. Oh, fuck. I don't like this. What the fuck is that? Is that a person too? Oh, God.
To me, the sounds he heard after the music stopped was similarly close to how Async workers talk to each other over the comms. Maybe if he would have kept going towards it, he might have actually found help, maybe ran into an Async worker. but instead turning back to the noise, he is met with what I thought was a person, but after hearing the screams it made and his reaction, that thing was clearly not. It's clearly some kind of monster, but almost seems human, being much more bulkier and fully formed than the bacteria monsters we're used to seeing. It's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that these creatures could have evolved over time. If we were pushed forward to 2022 or sometime in the future, we could definitely be dealing with more advanced monsters.
Dude, that's
but for the first time in the video,
no.
we then switch to different footage with what looks like hair or a squished spider between the woods. We switch back to our cameraman, but this is where I
jeez, hell no. Hell no, that's terrifying. Oh my god.
Really start to get confused. As he enters another room, it's much more industrial compared to what we've seen, with stop signs randomly cemented into the floor and a picture of this guy, a politician who founded the People's Republic of China. At least that's what Google told me after finally finding a match for this random picture. But why is this here? I mean, it's totally possible that people in the complex are dabbling in politics, but this entire area just seems much more
I thought
older.
That was a human being.
But the most shocking thing of all is when entering a huge office space, he sees a bright red window on the opposite side. And as he gets closer, everything outside becomes more visible before we see what is an entire city right outside, with trees, roads, and buildings, but also huge signs. Are we even in the Backrooms anymore? What is this?
Oh my god, this
and all
is insane.
our protagonist can do is laugh. Laugh at the insanity he's found himself in.
Yeah. You know, like, a lot of people are like, oh my god, why are you laughing and stuff like that? But, like, there's nervous laughs, there's scared laughs, there's, like, it's a kind of thing what you do where, like, it's just unbelievable that you're in this situation and you all you can do is laugh. And it's not like a ha ha, it's so funny, it's more like I'm fucked. And some people are like, why are they laughing? It's just like, dude, have you never, like, had a nervous laugh or, like, a laugh that you're like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable, or, like, oh, I'm so fucked, you know? Like, come on. Yeah, that's a crying laugh. I would cry. I would be laughing, crying all the time. I'd be like, fucking Christ. I'm dead.
A world that's barren of people but built by them. We see another angle of this as he walks through another skywalk, but oddly pauses as he sees the familiar yellow light that we're used to. Now back in the original complex, he makes his way around. And it's at this point I begin to wonder, can he actually make it out of here to async? But something catches his eye, a hole in the ground, because as he looks through it, he realizes he made one big circle back at the top of the group of chairs he was at earlier in the video.
Oh.
He also runs across a cardboard cutout of a caveman. Is
What
this
the
here
fuck?
to work as some sort of scarecrow? And as he continues on, he comes across what I believe is a house. A house in a room reminiscent to the one that Marvin came across when he fell into one of those holes in the ground.
Oh, that's
Sticking out of the ground,
crazy.
he notices what looks to be a boy made out of sand, or at least wool carpet melted into the floor. As he
I thought, like, man, this is why, if you all see something weird, don't go in. Get a friend, or maybe, like, call someone. I don't know, man. I'm never gonna be in these situations. I save my house. If I go, that was just me pretending I clipped through. But if I ever do clip through, it's over for me. I'm not surviving shit. Can I run? No. I won't be able to outrun anything. It's over for me.
He enters the house, he sees footprints on the ground leading out the door from a chair in the kitchen, which when close enough reveals a broken shoe sticking onto the ground. Like if it's phased into the floor and whoever was wearing it had to pry themselves out. This is the most normal looking house we have seen this entire series, and actually
there's a
looks
fucking
lived
shoe
in,
in the
as I can
ground.
tell from the bottle of Jack Daniels on the table. No one's just leaving that around. All while in the background it sounds like either a television or a man talking on the phone is heard.
At this point, just give me the alcohol.
Not in our hands. The clock's ticking, right? The price is going.
Hello?
No, don't talk, no!
Sorry, I think this is too low.
Run! Oh my god, I can't.
Someone out there?
I'm sorry. I don't know where I am. I need help.
You're on private property. You need to leave.
I'm trying, okay?
What?
I don't want to
This is
be...
the guy who keeps coming around here trying to talk to my boys.
What? No, my name is Robbie, sir. I'm not trying to cause you any trouble.
this is a
Just
monster.
lost.
My family's trying to sleep. Leave or I'm calling the police.
What?
Where are you?
What?
What?
Where the hell are you? I just looked outside and I don't see you.
I have to pause it here. I'm sorry. I have to interject because when I heard this, my mind was blown.
Oh, oh my god, he's talking to someone in the actual real world. Oh my god, find it! Find it! Clip through, bitch! Clip through!
We finally learn our protagonist's name, Robbie, is somehow communicating with someone in the outside world. I don't know if it's through a null zone or just a tear in the fabric of time, but this is insane. They talk with each other trying to figure out what is going on, as the man in the real world is also just as confused. Something to wonder too is this guy in the same time that Robbie comes from, or possibly in the future? Anyways, getting back to it, the man on the opposite side decides to try and pry apart the wall they're rebuilding off to see if he can get him out of the complex.
Come out with your hands first. I want to see your face.
Oh my god, that's just creepy.
Thank you. I think it's...
What?
Excuse me?
Hello?
Excuse me?
But as he
died to a monster!
does this, it seems that section of the wall he covered up was a null zone, and he was teleported elsewhere. We then end up with Robbie recording himself with what I believe is his last moments, reminiscing about his friends and his life, just wanting to go home as his camera battery finally dies. This episode fundamentally changes the way I thought of the Backrooms and how it interacted with the real world. I thought that Async was building these giant structures in, but what if the complex is slowly assimilating the world through these barriers? Just like how that guy's house was copied into the Backrooms due to the barriers between the two apparently being so weak you could talk through it. I mean, maybe both Async is clearly building in the Backrooms, but the real world is also seeping in at the same time. And that more humanoid creature, what the heck was the deal with that? So many questions still, and I'm so upset that this is the last video we have so far. Shoot. This is what I get for waiting on Mark to post. Okay, I guess we have one more video to cover. I promise this is the last one I'm uploading it. Even if he uploads another one, I don't care. But before we get into that one, I also want to pose a question on how did we get this camera footage? I understand how we got the first one in Found Footage 1, which is when the camera was flung back into reality, and the second one, we clearly see the girls teleported out of the Backrooms, and the footage plays on a TV, but this one seems lost. Robbie clearly dies, or at least we think he does. Maybe he continues on somehow, but if it's just left like this, then someone else found the footage and brought it back into the real world. But I guess we'll have to see that as the series continues. But enough about that video, let's move on to lighting and tile survey. Opening up, we're showing a cover to the preliminary notes.
I feel so bad for Robbie, man. I don't know, that makes me so sad that, like, he died, probably.
On lighting and tile survey dated November 15, 1989. We can see that Department of Energy logo is in the back, as well as signs showing this is only meant to be viewed by certain personnel in the company. We watch as a man commentates on the date and the surrounding feeling inside the threshold doorway, seeing that there's a heating system now implemented when you walk into the complex. Very similar to that red glow we saw throughout the cityscape in Found Footage 3. Async has also started to label each section of the complex as well. This opening so far has a much more carefree and chill vibe to it, at least without all the creepy sounds in the back, but it's much more relaxed, almost as if I'm watching a day in the life. What's also interesting is them mentioning how cold it is. Could this be from null zone barriers weakening and allowing cold air to emit through? This video basically follows the Async workers going into the ceiling and studying the light fixtures, noting they're able to see the cable connections but can't figure out the source of the current. They completely remove the light and take measurements and note the material of the board. It's all amazingly detailed, and I couldn't begin to try and understand the jargon that's used to describe everything. The importance of it though, I'm not sure how it relates to the complex or the story, as like the narrator says, these lights
I mean, like, how does it go in? Like, why? Like, how do they light up? Like, what's the source? Like, that's so interesting, too. I didn't even think about that.
Are all standard for fluorescent light bulbs.
Argon gas, and again, this is all standard for these fluorescent bulbs.
From the copper used in the wiring to the ultralight emission, so it seems like everything is normal, which I don't know if that should make me calm or worry me more. Pictures and diagrams pertaining to lighting in the store and tips on what to observe when dealing with how to place lights are given, almost to indicate that the complex, even though seems otherworldly, has amazing lighting, as if someone took the time to go through and pick out spots in the ceiling where lighting should sit or what bulbs should be used. Even having custom fitting light fixtures. Async also finds a label all over these lights, finding components dating back to 1975 and 73, all with serial numbers and some with manufacturing locations. And as the video ends, we zoom in on one of these labels showing Pennsylvania, May 1973. Is that meant to imply something important with the location and date? Or is it just showing that all the lights in the ceiling have this label, meaning that everything is just a copy and paste of itself? Which again, questions. That's how I've been feeling with every one of these videos for the last couple so far. But now finally, that is it. Now that we finished everything in this amazing series that I highly recommend you guys still go and check out. Even if you're new to the end of this video, go and check it out. I'm gonna try and give my final theory on what's happening and try and make sense.
Yeah, your game theory? Come on, give me your theory.
Of this timeline as well. It may not be the best, it may not be perfect, but this is what I think is going on. in the Backrooms series.
Okay.
First, I want to say that the last couple of videos in the series really made me go back and rethink a lot of what I thought was going on, because seeing how the real world and the complex are seemingly starting to blend together towards the end makes it clear that there's more going on than just async building into the complex. This is something that's much more intertwined than I think async could even handle. I know Overflow is the oldest video in this series, but I'm holding that until the end because I have a theory surrounding that video in its entirety, but I think we're gonna need some background information on it first. So I'm gonna start this timeline with the video Prototype, where the first edition of the low proximity magnetic distortion device, or Threshold as it will come to be known, was being tested and created at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in 1982.
And that's
this lab was looking into research about particle accelerations and blasting particles together at high speeds, showing this process created some huge energy output. We then fast forward 6 years into the future during the third test video on July 2nd, 1988, where Async Labs has seemingly grown off the back of this idea of the proximity magnetic distortion device and has further developed it into this gateway, making it look.
I love how like a lot of times it's like not in the order, but you can kind of tell what the order is. I love it when creators do that. That's so freaking awesome.
Much more like a doorway and now calling it the threshold, but also having to expand the entirety of this huge room with huge machinery surrounding it and powering it. We see the power that this more developed magnetic distortion device can produce during its third test, and it wouldn't be long before they would do more than just creating fancy light shows. Soon they would make first contact with something.
I feel like this is kind of like a, what's it called? Like an idea from Stranger Things, because like didn't Stranger Things also make like another version, you know, of the world, the upside down world? So maybe like they took that but then put into like video game standards in a way.
1 year later, on October 17, 1989, during the 6th test of the magnetic distortion machine, they would finally open a portal to the Backrooms. But it wouldn't be without its cost, as the creation of this rips through the fabric of space, not only causing the doorway to almost implode, but it would send shockwaves throughout the nation, which we see in the unlisted video faultline.mov, where we see the Loma Prieta earthquake shake the West Coast in 1989. And it so happens that Async is also located in Southern California. But these massive earthquakes wouldn't be the only product of the complex's portal opening. Async, with access to this new world, began to explore it, sending research teams to look inside and map out the area, while also taking a closer look at the materials of the complex itself, which we see in Lighting and Tile Survey, where the first documentation of the complex in the series takes place. As the Async team takes out a light fixture from the ceiling to study it and see that apparently all of the lights and wiring of this place seem to have real-world components like serial numbers and manufacturing locations, almost as if this room was built by actual people. Also, everything seems pretty standard. Nothing is too off, which is unnerving to say the least.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know any better walking in this room, you would just think it's a commercial space, which is.
Yeah, I would think it's just creepy too. Like, imagine just walking through like a room. I don't know, like anytime you're like in a new apartment or like a new house and everything's just like empty, it's kind of creepy. It's just like, oh my god, like it's just empty. It doesn't feel like normal.
What many people actually think when they accidentally fall into the complex. Yes, I said accidentally because, like I mentioned earlier, those earthquakes weren't the only byproduct of that 6th test. We see that missing people cases skyrocket in the following months. As little did anyone know, the threshold actually wasn't the only portal that opened up into the complex, as these little tears into the fabric of reality opened up called null zones that are small portals between the real world and the backrooms. Learning about this in the unlisted mar90archive.tar video. And it's not only opening up portals over the Southern California area, but possibly the nation and even the world, with thousands of people disappearing 1 second here and the next gone, vanished into the endless maze. And Async higher-ups learned about this actually fairly quickly, as during a research expedition into the complex on February 3rd, 1990, the research team that's out there to study and map out the.
I wonder how, like, if, like I said at the beginning of this video, like, I really wonder how it is now during this time, like 2026 or like, I don't know, 2020, whatever, you know, like that'd be like so cool.
Area come across a body of a person half decomposed, and this decomposing process is actually halted by dangerous human-eating bacteria. The crew brings the body back to the lab where an autopsy report is then conducted, and we learn that this bacteria is actually a fairly common one, but in the environment of the complex it's enhanced. To what degree is not fully understood yet, but they soon will. But besides all the weird stuff happening, Async is also beginning to create their presentation for the US government about their idea of infinite storage, We see their plans to small-scale terraform the Backrooms and make it a habitable place for humans to work and live, which if Async could somehow harness the power of the complex's infinite growth ability, their profits could essentially become just as infinite, taking out all their storage competitors and even becoming a property megacorporation. Just imagine the money they could charge businesses, companies.
Money, how much space, like, they can even charge, like what they said, like $10 for a room, and they would just get, like, sell $10 or, like, a room or, like, a unit to someone, and it's just, like, it's just a lot of money, and it will be people who don't have a lot of money will 100% take it too.
Renters, anyone who needs space, and never run out of area to sell. Since it's still early before the missing peoples report begins to pile in, and Async higher-ups can cover up what seems like one-off mishaps of people falling in, they can get the backing to fully expand the Backrooms by the government. But if only it was that easy. As almost a month passes, when on a research expedition on February 29th, researcher Peter Tench is separated from his group. At the time, we and everybody else in Async don't know it yet, but he is pushed 3 months into the future. With Peter disappearing from the group, Async has to come up with a plan to not bring any unneeded attention to them from Peter's family, Async workers, and the eyes of the government. So, they fake Peter's death via car crash. I mean, every big corporation makes sacrifices, and I guess Async just thinks Peter is another one of those. Even with Peter's disappearance, everything still seems to be going great. They even have a meeting with the Department of Energy set up for May 8th, until...
That's not a person.
Yeah, that's not a fucking person. Run, bitch, run!
That is not a fucking person!
Pitfalls takes place May 6, 1990, 2 days before the Department of Energy is set to come to Async Labs for their inspection of the laboratory before greenlighting any funding. On May 6th, a research team consisting of 4 researchers, Mark, George, I'm unsure about the female's name, but online I've seen her referred to as Kim, as well as our cameraman Marvin E. Lee, venture far into the complex. The team comes across this room with a floor that's covered with endless looking holes. Mark, being the team lead, ventures first, making it across to the opposing door past the holes, where he is astonished by whatever is on the other side. As Marvin tries to make his way over for documentation, he falls into one of the holes and slides into a completely different area. And here he comes across the bacterium monster. Luckily, he is able to escape and is able to report back the footage to Async Labs the same day. And this footage shocks Async employees and higher-ups so much that they decide to block off the walls that lead towards that room for what I thought was the whole production until they figured out how to deal with this monster, but more likely so that the monster could not possibly interrupt them and cause havoc as the Department of Energy presentation and tour was being given. With these quick adjustments made and seemingly everyone kept under hush, the Department of Energy finally arrives on May 8th, 1990, and are given a full tour of the facility and even future plans Async has for the complex, even getting sneakily close to see the yellow maze for itself. But while an interview is underway, an alarm blares off, coming from the threshold doorway into the
from the missing workers.
As someone has entered, and it's Peter Tench, who was pushed 3 months into the future to this day. Async quickly acts, collecting Tench and bringing him into the lab for testing while they are able to keep it under wraps from the Department of Energy, who greenlights funding for Async. With information from Peter Tench and the correlating camera footage he kept recording with, Async is able to learn all of what had happened. But Peter coming back kind of puts a wrench in their plans. I mean, they already held a funeral for him. If he came back...
I mean, like 3 months, like you couldn't just give it a year, be like, maybe he ran away or he got kidnapped, you know? You could have waited like a year if he came back, I'm not gonna lie. You don't have to make him dead. Like, people go missing all the time and they sometimes are fine, right?
Possibly revealed what he had went through to his family, or worse, the media, they would now not only face possible shutdown for illegal practices, but government investigation will lead to so much jail time some people will never see the light of day. So for the time being, they have to delay until they could come up with a plan. They tell Peter they're going to slowly integrate him back into society just to calm his nerves for the time being. He agrees and waits. With that dealt with for now, they continue expeditions into the complex, but as time goes on, they either still haven't come up with a solution to fix everything, or they have decided to just never let Peter see the light of day. But he's not content with this. What he went through is Async's fault, and he is beginning to become paranoid for good reason. Peter starts to believe that Async won't ever let him out and are now against him. 2 weeks pass by, and supposedly Async was getting ready to bring him above land as they had him underground in the lab this whole time. He chooses his moment and escapes back into the complex. During his time in the complex, we get to peer into his mind and what he's thinking through the video I Remember, where he talks about his life that was taken from him and lost to the complex, and how he had almost become a memory like everyone else who fell in there, but he remembers everything. And it's not until a few weeks later on March 25th, 1990, during the video Reunion, that he makes his move. With the Department of Energy now out of the building, Async unlocks their previously boarded up areas and pushes forward with their plans. And we see the time lapse of them boarding up holes of the pitfalls room to have safer walking surfaces. Also now arming their researchers with a shotgun for protection just in case they come across a monster, or possibly Peter. As they enter into an unmapped area of the pitfalls room, they come across a new environment again. But their signal cuts out and they decide to head back. But on their way, they're ambushed by Peter, wrestling the shotgun out of Mark's hand. Marvin is surprised to see Peter, as like most of the people at Async, he thought he died during his supposed car crash. But Mark, on the other hand, doesn't seem fazed by this, and instead calls right away to Async for backup for a hostile. And I think it's pretty clear that Mark was filled in on what was truly happening with Async, since he is the team leader, and he was a little too quick to call for backup, but it would end up costing him his life as Peter shoots him and runs away, all while telling Marvin
Still, I feel like he shouldn't have died. He shouldn't have shot him, man. He just could have ran and just kept the gun.
let people know what's really happening. But he isn't done. We see in damage control that he then heads back to the threshold, shotgun in hand, making his way through Async Labs and escaping through a freight elevator into the free world. With this event happening in front of Async members, the facility keeps everyone overnight and explains the entire situation to them, saying that they had faked Peter's death and how he was transported into the future. But also covering their back, saying they were going to let him go, but he went crazy. But most shocking of all, revealing that Peter had actually died, hitting his head while trying to escape down a hill. But that may not be as true as we think, as we see split-second pictures of a random man from CCTV footage in a city. And I'm very skeptical about what Async says about anything at this point, so I could definitely believe that Peter is still alive and is just hiding for now, especially since we don't see a body. Now, you might have noticed I didn't mention at all the found footage videos number 1, 2, or 3, or even Overflow, but that's because they are pretty weird where they fall into the timeline.
Yeah, that makes
At least for the found footages. Like I mentioned before, Overflow I just have a theory on that I will get to. But looking at the found footages, the order they fall in goes found footage 1 taking place July 4th, 1991, found footage 2 taking place sometimes between found footage 1 and 3, and then finally found footage 3 takes place around the spring/summer of 1995. For these videos, don't misunderstand the dates in the description for the actual dates that they are recorded, as the found footage videos are dated as they are archived, since Async finds these videos, hence the name found footage. But you can find the dates of when the recordings actually took place with clues from the videos. And hey, if you have a better idea of when number 2 and 3 took place, please let me know in the comments.
I have no idea.
But through these 3 videos, we see the evolutions of the Backrooms, starting in 1991 with a teenager falling into the complex we're more used to seeing, with just endless yellow walls, with hints of a deeper, bigger area shown, but not fully explored, all the while being attacked by the same bacteria monster Marvin encountered. Before, of course, he succumbs to the monster, but not before his camera is flung back out into reality to be recovered. In found footage 2, we follow a young woman who finds a null zone in her garage, and she falls into a complex that has much bigger interior designs, with huge rooms and small portions of furniture and living accommodations that seem to have been ripped from a time in the future and put into the present. If you didn't notice by now with all the time stuff, the Backrooms doesn't seem to obey the laws of time as we know it, and can move things forward and back as it wants. But it looks like it's getting more and more extreme as time passes, which is clearly shown in the second found footage, as well as found footage 3. She also gets chased by another bacteria monster, but when she's cornered, the entirety of the room glows green, and she is seemingly teleported out of the Backrooms to somewhere else. As we end on the footage back in the real world playing on the TV, clearly showing that at least the footage escaped. Found footage 3 is an entire beast on its own, as it shows the complex in just a small amount of time has developed extremely quickly, with whole cities and huge office spaces now dominating the area. We follow our cameraman Robbie, the only named person in these found footage videos. I mean, except in found footage 1 where the cameraman was named Kane Pixels, but I don't know if that counts. Anyway, during Robbie's adventures through this insane landscape, he comes across this house similar to those that we saw in Pitfalls, but this time he can hear someone inside, and it's revealed he's talking to somebody else in the real world. So this house isn't just a fake creation of the complex or an Async-made living quarters, but has actually been assimilated in from reality. We're also shown various clues from things in the future and the past being assimilated, like this flyer from 2022. So it seems as more time goes on and the complex is open, its reach is going out further and further forwards and backwards in the timeline, pulling everything in, squishing different times closer and closer together. Async has inadvertently caused timelines to basically begin to fold in on each other. And I think as time goes on, we're going to see these complexes filled with older and newer cities and technology, creating a sort of paradox as the past, future, and present all collide.
That seems
But
so crazy.
we're still left with one
That's
question.
a theory.
How
A
did
game
Async
theory.
find out about the Backrooms? Because thinking Async opened up the Backrooms with the knowledge of knowing they were going to make it into a business seems very hard to believe. Like, how do you even know about this if you never even knew?
To be honest, yeah, I feel like it could just be like, hey, like, let's find out how we could get infinite storage. Let's go. I don't know, like, that makes sense.
What the Backrooms was, unless you got a little help from the future. This is a bit of an out there theory, but this is why I held Overflow as the last video I talked about. Overflow, without a doubt, is the first video in the series, but following my theory, it in itself is a sort of paradox. We are clearly shown clues in Overflow that Ivan Beck, who was a lead advisor on some sort of government project back in the 1970s, helped the US with some sort of machine, possibly dealing with energy during the Cold War. This also helps make sense as to how Async got government connections so quickly, as Ivan Beck would have that background with the US and would quickly get through to the DOE, who gives billions of dollars in funds every year to companies that deal with science and innovation. And it seems that during his research with the government, an overflow occurred, and we see both the yellow glow, like when the threshold was opened, and the green glow, like when the girl is teleported in found footage too. So what if during whatever study he was conducting, he either saw into the Backrooms or had something teleported to him? Say something like the camera that the girl was recording with. We see at the end of the video that someone is watching the film on their TV, and the TV doesn't seem to have a VHS player installed like later TV models would in the 80s or 90s. Instead, it uses a separate add-on that was released in the 70s and really only very well-off people could afford at the time. What if Ivan Beck saw this footage for himself and something about it intrigued him? Intrigued him so much that he would go so far to dedicate his life work towards opening a portal to the Backrooms, finding a man at Oak Ridge National Laboratory named Philip R. Heyman that was working on a similar project he was doing with the government to create huge amounts of energy, only more refined without needless overflows, just more concentrated, and coming to him with a proposal to create Async Labs, him being the president and founder, while Ivan played his role from the sides as vice president, still able to oversee everything but not having to take the blame for it all. But someone is clearly onto him, as cryptic messages play out over the videos throughout the series, seemingly showing someone is beginning to understand everything that Async is about.
Insane, oh my goodness.
And seems to want to tear it down. Could it be Peter Tench, Marvin, or possibly someone else?
Could be himself.
Oh my goodness,
like, oh shit.
We finally finished. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had an amazing time making it and just diving into this series. If you have some other point of view, or maybe I missed some information, please let me know down in the comments. But if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, because I'm making more and more videos. Hopefully
let's go make sure to like the video as well. Let me know what your theories are, if you have any theories. Like, I don't know, the lore of Backrooms is just so insane. That was awesome. I'm sorry for like the last few minutes I was just kind of quiet. It was just nice hearing like the theory, and I didn't have any input because like most of it was like, oh my god, like, yeah, that makes sense, like who knows like what's gonna happen, and I can't wait, and I really want to watch the Backrooms movie. Let me know if you have watched it, what you guys think, and yeah, I appreciate y'all. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye bye.